Chapter 1188. That Zhantai hadn't reached the 11th floor yet. Maybe she had already been blasted out. Thinking of Zhantai, Ning Qing suddenly recalled what she had said before. Zhantai wanted to cooperate with him. As long as the two worked together, they could reach a higher position on the 12th floor. The main reason was that Zhantai said that her cultivation method contained a bit of good fortune laws. In terms of cultivation methods, his mysterious yellow formless was much stronger than a cultivation method that contained a bit of good fortune laws. Perhaps his mysterious yellow formless was purely a good fortune cultivation method. Not to mention a cultivation method, he even had the good fortune treasure, the mysterious yellow bead. However, Ning Qing had no idea how to use his cultivation method in the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda. Whether he knew or not, Ning Qing decided to give it a try on the 12th floor first. On the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, Ning Qing immediately used a law-breaking spirit technique. At the same time, the mysterious yellow formless frantically circulated. At this moment, his entire body was filled with the Dao charm aura of his cultivation method. Even if Ning Cheng's reaction was fast enough, the terrifying pressure that felt as if the sky itself had collapsed still landed on his body. Boom! Ning Qing felt as if his entire sea of consciousness and body were about to explode from the pressure. The oppressive feeling even filled his entire soul. Feeling one of his feet being blasted into the air by the violent thrust, Ning Qing sighed in his heart. He knew that he could no longer stay on the 12th floor. Just when Ning Qing thought that he would be blasted out of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, the terrifying law power suppressing his soul was actually worn away by his cultivation method. Ning Cheng's mind was filled with blessings, and he crazily circulated his qi. The law-breaking spirit technique also weakened the surrounding law power of heaven and earth at this moment, and the pressure on Ning Qing suddenly weakened. At this time, Ning Qing didn't try to perfect his law-breaking spirit technique. Instead, he continued to use the mysterious yellow formless to grind away the surrounding law power of heaven and earth. At this moment, Ning Qing felt like the great millstone of the 5th reincarnation bridge of the 7 bridges spirit technique. No matter how terrifying the law pressure was, he could grind it away at this moment. Ning Qing assimilated and absorbed the aura of laws. At this moment, Ning Qing could easily walk on the 12th floor without using the law-breaking spirit technique. Sure enough, it was because of the cultivation method. Ning Qing suppressed the surprise in his heart and continued to operate the mysterious yellow formless. The endless law Dao charm power, like spiritual qi, was ground away by the mysterious yellow formless, turned into Ning Cheng's own Dao charm aura. Feeling that his Dao charm cultivation had improved once again, Ning Cheng's surprise was simply indescribable. His mysterious yellow formless could actually absorb the nomological power of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda for cultivation. This was simply too heaven-defying. A few days later, Ning Qing was getting more and more comfortable with this kind of cultivation. At the same time, his comprehension of the Great Dao became even clearer. When others entered the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, they might only be able to comprehend the nomological Dao runes inside and then comprehend their own magical powers or find their own Dao path. However, he could directly absorb the Dao rune laws here to cultivate. This was simply unbelievable. In the end, it was still the effect of the mysterious yellow formless. Another day passed, and Ning Qing vaguely felt that he had once again reached the primordial chaos realm. It was different from the Dao runes of the primordial chaos realm that he had sensed in the extremely cold space last time. He felt that the primordial chaos realm he had captured this time was more perfect and powerful. Ning Qing calmed himself down and stopped absorbing the Dao charm laws here for cultivation. At his level, if he wanted to advance to the primordial chaos realm, he could do so at any time. He wasn't in a hurry. Because the mysterious yellow formless could grind away the nomological power of the Dao runes here for cultivation, Ning Qing had an even crazier idea. He wanted to use his cultivation method to directly channel the nomological power of the Dao Pagoda into the mysterious yellow bead. If he could do this, then he could definitely ascend to the 18th floor. The mysterious yellow formless aura around Ning Cheng's body turned into one Dao charm aura after another. These Dao charm auras wrapped around the nomological power and sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng was prepared to suffer a backlash from the nomological power of the Dao runes and then be pushed out of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda. What he didn't expect was that not only did he not suffer any backlash, but he also easily channeled the nomological power from the surroundings into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng opened his eyes in surprise. This was even simpler and more convenient than using the law-breaking spirit technique and absorbing the nomological power of the Dao runes. If it was this easy, then there wouldn't be any problem ascending to the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda. When Ning Cheng thought of the 18th floor, he immediately thought of the precious true essence of the universe. He didn't stop at the 12th floor and rushed straight to the 13th floor. Even without the mysterious yellow bead absorbing the nomological power of the Dao runes from the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, Ning Cheng could rely on his cultivation method to absorb the nomological power of the Dao runes from the 13th floor. However, Ning Cheng didn't have the patience to do so. As soon as he reached the 13th floor, he used the mysterious yellow formless heavenly cycle to wrap around the nomological power of the Dao runes from the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda and send it all into the mysterious yellow bead. The majestic and violent nomological power almost couldn't reach Ning Cheng's surroundings before Ning Cheng sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. Compared to the previous hardships, Ning Cheng didn't spend any effort on the 13th floor. Ning Cheng didn't stop and continued to rush to the 14th floor, the 15th floor, the 16th floor. His mysterious yellow bead was like a huge vortex of devouring laws. No matter how powerful the nomological power was, as long as Ning Cheng could send the nomological power that was suppressing him into the mysterious yellow bead, he would be safe and sound. I got teleported out. Alas, what a pity. What a pity. That's a powerhouse who climbed to the 12th floor. Let me ask you, how many people can climb to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda? A burst of pitiful voices came. On the public square where the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda was located, many people sighed and talked about it. Everyone could clearly see that on the pure white Heavenly Alliance Dao steel, the golden spot that represented the person who climbed to the 12th floor had disappeared. Since it disappeared, it must have been teleported out. Even Ning Cheng himself didn't know that he didn't continue to use his strength to resist the pressure of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda's laws. Instead, he cheated and transferred the pressure of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda to the mysterious yellow bead. On the white Dao steel next to the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, the golden spot that represented him disappeared. After Zhan Tai was teleported out, no one knew who she was. However, many cultivators on the public square of the Heavenly Alliance Star paid close attention to their surroundings. This was because the cultivator who ascended to the 12th floor would definitely appear in a certain place after being teleported out. To everyone's disappointment, after the golden spot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao steel disappeared, no one suddenly appeared. Deacon Li once again flew up and said to the crowd with cupped fists, "The Dao friend who just teleported out of the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, please come to my Heavenly Alliance Star City Master's mansion." On behalf of the City Master and the entire Heavenly Alliance Star, Li Kuanghe warmly welcomes this Dao friend. Unfortunately, just like the first time he stood up, no one came forward to speak. Deacon Li felt a little anxious. How could someone who could climb to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda be a simple person? Although he didn't want to say the reward directly, he had to say it at this time. This Dao friend, and the Dao friend who climbed to the 10th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda before. In order to reward the Dao friend who set foot on the 9th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda, my Heavenly Alliance Star City specially offered 100 top-grade God spiritual veins and 10 Dao fusion Dao fruits as the initial reward. When the City Master comes back, there will be more rewards. Hearing Deacon Li's words, the cultivators on the public square of the Heavenly Alliance Stars started talking even more eagerly. Some people wished that they had been teleported out from the 10th or 12th floor. Such a generous reward was just the initial reward. One could imagine what kind of good things would be rewarded once the City Master came back. The two cultivators who had climbed to the 10th floor simply didn't know what was good for them. They didn't even want such a good thing. Could the harvest on the 10th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda compare to such a generous reward? Ning Qing naturally didn't know about such a generous reward. If he had known, he would have definitely asked for it. Whether Zhan Tai wanted it or not, it was her business. Ning Qing would never ignore the reward of 10 Dao Fusion Dao fruits. Not to mention, apart from the Dao fruits, there were also 100 top-grade God spiritual veins. Even if this wasn't the initial reward, Ning Qing didn't care. However, Ning Qing didn't know about this. He had already set foot on the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. As the power of laws that could crush the sky descended, Ning Qing immediately integrated it into the mysterious yellow bead. What Ning Qing didn't expect was that the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda turned out to be the top of the pagoda. At the top of the pagoda, all kinds of Tao rhymes crisscrossed, and the laws almost materialized. In this place, Ning Qing could even see the realm after primordial chaos. With such a clear Tao rhyme law, even an idiot Tao essence Holy Emperor could easily advance to primordial chaos Holy Emperor if he came here. Ning Qing took in a deep breath, and the Tao rhyme flowed around his body. His aura rose crazily at this moment. The power of laws merged with the power of laws of the mysterious yellow bead. Whether it was his sea of consciousness, meridians, or spirit essence, all of them underwent a qualitative change. Ning Qing caught a trace of the Tao rhyme aura of heaven and earth. He felt as if he could see the process of everything condensing into a universe, and the universe fusing into chaos. Heaven and earth laws, spirit technique laws, grand Tao laws, all of this was clearly imprinted in Ning Qing's consciousness and spiritual sense. It was as if he held the vast power of the entire universe in his hands, and the vast Tao rhymes of laws endlessly surrounded his body. His body also sublimated in an instant, and Ning Qing's excited mood calmed down. He slowly raised his head and saw through the vast void in the distance. Under his gaze, the entire universe seemed to have shrunk in size. He didn't continue to use the mysterious yellow bead to absorb the heaven and earth law power here. Instead, he raised his hand and waved. The Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda's Tao rhyme law power was extremely powerful. At this moment, it was like a clear meridian that he could easily straighten out. He no longer felt that oppressive feeling. Ning Qing sighed softly and looked at the void in the distance. His whole person calmed down. It wasn't until today that he understood the difference between primordial chaos and Tao essence. Cultivating the mysterious yellow formless allowed him to fight against primordial chaos at the primordial Tao realm, which showed how powerful the mysterious yellow formless was. So what if I reach Tao unification from now on? Ning Qing smiled and raised his hand to tear apart the surrounding laws. Chapter 1189. After a long time, Ning Qing retracted his gaze that pierced through the void. His gaze fell on a jade basin suspended in the center of the tower. Within the jade basin, there was half a basin full of golden liquid. Boundless Taoist rhyme aura revolved around the golden liquid. More Tao runes condensed 10 feet away from the jade basin, forming a barrier that was like a heavenly moat. Ning Qing walked over, raised his hand and easily tore through the barrier, and reached out to grab the jade basin. An extremely vast force suddenly blasted over, and Ning Qing felt his body tremble. The Tao charm aura around him also dissipated and turned chaotic at this moment. This powerful force had almost blasted him out of the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. What a formidable power of heaven and earth laws, Ning Qing felt shocked in his heart. After he had advanced to primordial chaos and felt the boundless strength, he had become a little arrogant. This jade basin clearly contained the quintessential essence of the universe. It seemed like he could only take away the quintessential essence and not this jade basin. Instead, he took out the immeasurable gourd and raised his hand to send all the quintessential essence of the universe in the jade basin into the immeasurable gourd. Ning Qing had advanced to primordial chaos, and even he had not expected the increase in his strength. With such a powerful primordial chaos Taoist rhyme, one could only imagine the power of a wave of his hand. Unfortunately, Ning Cheng's wave only brought up a drop of quintessential essence of the universe. At this point, if Ning Qing still did not know that he could not take as much of the quintessential essence of the universe as he pleased, he would be too stupid. Although there was half a basin here, he couldn't take it away. The second time, Ning Qing still only managed to take away a drop. Third time, fourth time, when Ning Qing took the 18th drop, he could no longer take another drop of quintessential essence of the universe from the jade basin. Ning Qing sighed. It looks like he could only take away 18 drops. He wondered if he would be able to take away 18 drops the second time he came up. However, Ning Qing also knew that the possibility of taking away the quintessential essence of the universe a second time was very small. Ning Qing had just put away the measureless gourd with some regret, when a powerful thrust blasted him out of the surroundings of the jade basin. The barrier around the jade basin was once again repaired. That powerful thrust seemed to be warning Ning Qing that he had already obtained what he wanted. Does this pagoda have an artifact spirit? So nimble. Just as Ning Qing thought of this, an even more terrifying law force erupted. Even if Ning Qing used the mysterious yellow formless to sweep up the worldly law force into the mysterious yellow bead, it still couldn't stop this powerful law force. Ning Qing gave an angry snort. Since I came up, I'll go down by myself. If you want to use the power of laws in this place to blow me away, then you can't. If he hadn't comprehended primordial chaos yet, then so be it. Now that he had advanced to primordial chaos, he had gained insight into his own Tao law. His strength had risen by countless times. It would be impossible for him to chase him away easily. Not even the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda could do that. Ning Qing forcibly stabilized his body. At the same time, the mysterious yellow formless started to operate crazily. At the same time, a Tao-breaking spirit technique erupted. As if sensing Ning Qing's crazy resistance, the pressure from the laws of heaven and earth grew stronger and stronger. Ka. Ning Qing had just advanced to primordial chaos when he felt the power that despised heaven and earth. Once again, the power of heaven and earth's nomological power suppressed his bones until they cracked. Pooh! An arrow of blood spurted out, but Ning Qing kept his feet firmly on the 18th floor. He didn't want to be blown away by this power. The mysterious yellow formless frantically ground away the surrounding Tao charm nomological power, and the law-breaking spirit technique surged out like a continuous wave. Kacha! Another crisp sound rang out, but this time, it wasn't the crisp sound of Ning Qing's bones breaking, but the surrounding laws of heaven and earth shattering. No matter how strong and majestic the laws of heaven and earth were, they couldn't withstand Ning Qing's crazy counterattack. Ning Qing's law-breaking spirit technique had long since been perfected. Coupled with his advancement in cultivation, the law-breaking spirit technique blasted out continuously. No matter how strong the laws of heaven and earth were, he could still break through them. Ning Qing felt the nomological power pressing down on him weaken instantly, and his entire body relaxed. Sure enough, it blocked. Although Ning Qing's expression remained the same, his Tao heart had once again sublimated. The primordial chaos aura also completely stabilized at this moment. At this moment, his fate was in his own hands. Even the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda couldn't blow him away casually. Feeling the unfriendly nomological aura on the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda, Ning Qing smiled and calmly took out several medicinal pills and swallowed them. Under the circulation of the mysterious yellow formless, the injury had already disappeared. It wasn't until he felt that his injuries had completely disappeared that Ning Qing calmly stepped out of the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda and landed on the square outside the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda. The moment his feet touched the ground, Ning Qing's heart filled with lofty sentiments. From the moment he left Earth until today, he finally didn't need to rely on others for his strength. If that Ao Beijiang dared to talk nonsense in front of him again, he would not hesitate to kill him with his spear. Standing at this height, he had the confidence and strength to do so. Did I see wrongly just now? I saw a golden dot flash on the 18th floor. A cultivator standing in front of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao steel rubbed his eyes and called out in horror. Ha, why don't you say that you saw the essence of the universe? Someone next to him mocked. The cultivator who rubbed his eyes said with certainty, I didn't see wrongly. There really was a golden dot flashing on the 18th floor. Then why don't you ask someone else to take a look? The cultivator who rubbed his eyes said one word but didn't know what to say. He was completely stunned just now. A golden dot had flashed on the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda, which meant that someone had entered the 18th floor. How was this possible? I suggest that you quickly enter the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda. Maybe you can go to the 18th floor yourself. Ha! The surrounding laughter rang out, causing the other cultivator who was about to speak up to subconsciously swallow his words. He had also seen a golden dot flashing on the 18th floor, but he didn't dare to say it. Ning Cheng walked out of the crowd in a happy mood. He didn't want to stay in the Heavenly Alliance Star City. He planned to ask around in the Heavenly Alliance Star City to find a teleportation array that could take him directly to the heavens beyond of mysterious yellow. Senior. A flattering voice called out from behind Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng looked back and saw the old fogey. To be honest, he thought that the old fogey had already escaped. With the old fogey's craftiness, how could he continue to stay in the Heavenly Alliance Star City after leaking the Heaven and Earth Cauldron? Hey, old fogey, you're still here. Ning Cheng subconsciously said. The old fogey walked to Ning Cheng's side with a smile and said carefully, Senior told me to wait here. This junior didn't dare to leave at will. Ning Cheng looked at the old fogey in a new light. This fellow was a man of his word. Ning Cheng had underestimated this fellow before. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng patted the old fogey's shoulder in a good mood. Not bad. You have a bright future by following me. When you're free, take out your Heaven and Earth Cauldron and show it to me. Ning Cheng knew that the Heaven and Earth Cauldron was the old fogey's weakness. As long as he mentioned the Heaven and Earth Cauldron, the old fogey would definitely sneak away. He had too many things to do, and it wouldn't be convenient to bring the old fogey with him. To Ning Cheng's surprise, the old fogey smiled awkwardly and said, Senior can see the Heaven and Earth Cauldron, but there are too many people here. The Heaven and Earth Cauldron is this junior's life-bound weapon. When there's no one around, Senior can look at it. Even if Senior wants to take it away, this junior is willing. The old fogey felt even more sure that Ning Cheng had concealed his cultivation. Otherwise, how could Ning Cheng advance to Primordial Chaos Holy Emperor in the blink of an eye when he was not even at Primordial Chaos Realm 10 days ago? Hey, old fogey, you've become more generous. Not bad, not bad. Let's go. Since you're so generous, I'll treat you to a drink today. Let's go to the transfer point and ask around. Ning Cheng didn't expect the old fogey to become so easy to talk to. Did he misread this fellow before? The old fogey followed behind Ning Cheng but didn't dare to raise his head. He could only sneak a peek out of the corner of his eye. That cultivator kept using his spiritual consciousness to check on the people entering and leaving the square. No matter where he went, he would fall into that person's spiritual consciousness. At that time, he could only rely on Ning Cheng to help him block this disaster. Just when Ning Cheng was about to walk out of the square with the old fogey saw the person he feared turn around and leave from the corner of his eye. The moment that person turned around and left, the old fogey almost vomited blood. That person had been here for more than 10 days, but just when he called out to Ning Cheng and followed behind Ning Cheng, he left. If the other party had left a moment earlier, he wouldn't have called out to Ning Cheng. Sure enough, he had to admit that he was unlucky. Old fogey, you don't look good. Is there something wrong? Ning Cheng noticed something wrong with the old fogey and asked aloud. The old fogey quickly waved his hand and said, It's nothing, it's nothing. Senior has a restaurant, and I heard that the wine is quite good. This junior will borrow this restaurant to celebrate Senior's ascension to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda. The old fogey pointed to a restaurant not far from the square. He had been hiding in the crowd these days and had only heard about it from others. He had never been there himself. Others might not know who could set foot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda, but the old fogey didn't need to ask to know that it must be Ning Cheng. Besides Ning Cheng, who else could set foot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Dao Pagoda? When a cultivator standing not far away from the two heard this, his eyes revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He quickly retreated and disappeared a moment later. Ning Cheng didn't care about it. With his current strength, even if people knew that he had just come down from the 18th floor, no one would dare to do anything to him. It looks like this restaurant is really good. As soon as Ning Cheng and the old fogey stepped into the restaurant, they could feel the booming business. A rich aroma of wine wafted over, and Ning Cheng really wanted to drink a few mouthfuls. "Buddy, give us a booth." The old fogey raised his hand and threw a storage bag to the waiter at the door while calling out loudly. The waiter grabbed the storage bag and knew that it contained goods. He quickly said, "The booth is gone, but there is still an empty seat in the hall. 2 Dao friends, hurry up and take a seat. Otherwise, it will be gone in a while." Chapter 1190. The old fart wanted to speak, but Ning Cheng had already walked over. Before Ning Cheng could sit down, a woman's voice called out in surprise, "Hey, senior apprentice brother Ching Tan, there's an empty seat here." As she spoke, the woman grabbed the seat and sat down almost at the same time as Ning Cheng. The old fart saw that Ning Cheng didn't want to fight for the box, so everyone went over and sat down. He also didn't talk nonsense with the waiter. However, he didn't expect that someone would grab the seat before he even sat down. The female cultivator sitting at the same table as Ning Cheng had a round face and big eyes. She looked like a woman with a strong cultivation and had just stepped into the primordial Dao realm. When she saw Ning Cheng sitting in this seat, she immediately frowned. "Senior apprentice brother, I'll take this seat first." Ning Cheng felt a little helpless. In fact, he was a little ahead of this woman. It was a waste of time to argue over a table, especially with a woman. Ning Cheng was just about to stand up and give the seat to the other party when a voice spoke up next to him. "We've already booked this table, and it was the waiter who booked it. If you don't believe me, you can ask the waiter and the people around here. Get out of the way, don't affect our drinking mood." The old fart was afraid that Ning Cheng would get angry and quickly came over to reprimand him. The big-eyed woman frowned even more. "It's just a table. What's the harm in letting you have it?" It's just that the old fart's words weren't pleasant to hear, which made her a little unhappy. Sorry. 2 Dao friends, my junior apprentice sister did come later. We should withdraw from this table." The male cultivator next to the woman quickly came over and apologized. This male cultivator not only spoke warmly, but he also had an outstanding appearance and looked extraordinarily handsome. In Ning Cheng's view, he didn't seem that old, but his cultivation was already at the early stage primordial chaos. It showed that his aptitude was definitely not ordinary. This table can seat 7 or 8 people. It's not a big deal for everyone to sit here together. Ning Cheng smiled and said. He just wanted to drink a few glasses of wine and enjoy the joy of advancing to primordial chaos. In addition, there was one more thing he wanted to ask the old fart. With his current cultivation, even if the people around him heard what he was asking, he wouldn't care at all. Many thanks, Dao friend. I'm Lu Qingtan, and this is my junior apprentice sister Qinyu. The man heard Ning Cheng's words and thanked him with cupped fists before sitting down on the other side. Ning Cheng also cupped his fists and spoke, My name is Ning Cheng, this is. The old fogey did not wait for Ning Cheng to finish his words and spoke up with gratitude, This emperor. I am Jiang Zhong. The old fart didn't want Ning Cheng to introduce him as old fart, but before he could say the words this emperor, he remembered that Ning Cheng was still here and quickly changed his form of address. Waiter, bring me 4 barrels of your best wine. The old man, in order to not let Ning Cheng think too much, quickly called out to the waiter. After that, he said to Lu Qingtan and Qinyu, It's my treat today. You two don't have to be polite. Everyone will get a barrel of good wine. Lu Qingtan opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but hesitated and did not say anything. The waiter walked over. Fellow Daoist, do you really want 4 barrels of our best wine? The old fart glared at him. What? Are you worried that I can't afford it? The waiter quickly said, No, no, it's because the best wine we have here is the Heavenly Alliance's Stardew. Each barrel costs 1 peak-grade God Spirit vein. The old fart followed behind Ning Cheng and hid 99% of his temper. However, when he heard that a barrel of the Heavenly Alliance's Stardew wanted a peak-grade God Spirit vein, he couldn't help but slap the table and stand up. Are you bullying me because I'm a foreigner and want to extort my God Spirit vein? This emperor will tell you that I have a lot of God Spirit veins, but your little store doesn't have the ability to extort me. This time, even Ning Cheng was a little angry. No matter how good the wine was, it shouldn't cost a barrel of peak-grade God Spirit vein, right? Was this wine brewed by second step Dao confirmation Dao fruit? Although the old fart was still at the early stage primordial chaos realm, the waiter of the hotel couldn't bear the pressure of his aura. The powerful Dao rune aura slammed into the waiter's chest, causing him to take a few steps back. A trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. He didn't dare to continue talking to the old fart. Instead, he raised his hand and sent out a message. Ning Cheng sat there without moving. When the old fart saw that Ning Cheng didn't move, he didn't bother to pay attention to the waiter. He knew that the person in charge of the store was about to arrive, so he didn't need to talk to a waiter. It would only bring shame to his identity. Many people in the hotel glanced at Ning Cheng and the old fart, but no one said anything. Ning Cheng sensed that something was wrong. He had seen this kind of gaze before. It was the gaze of bystanders when someone ate and dashed away. Could the wine here really cost a barrel of 1 peak-grade God Spirit vein? However, this was too outrageous. Chen Yu's face turned red. She seemed to want to say something, but Lu Qingtan, who was next to her, stopped her. Lu Qingtan stopped Chen Yu and stood up. Before Lu Qingtan could speak, someone stepped forward and called out, "Seniors, hey, Shi Japan kid, come here." The old fart hurriedly waved his hand when he saw Shi Japan. He obviously sensed the strange atmosphere around him. In fact, he had the same thought as Ning Cheng. Could the best wine here really be a barrel of 1 peak-grade God Spirit vein? Upon seeing the old fart call an early-stage primordial chaos kid, the mocking gazes around quickly retracted. Everyone could tell that the old fart had an extraordinary background. Otherwise, who would dare call an early-stage primordial chaos kid? Senior Ping Ding. After Shi Japan bowed respectfully to the old fart, he bowed to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng waved his hand and asked with a smile, "Is it true that a barrel of wine here costs 1 peak-grade God Spirit vein?" Shi Japan said awkwardly, "The best wine here is called the Heavenly Union Star Dew. It's brewed from the dew condensed by the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda and top-grade Dao fruits. This wine is only sold in the Heavenly Union Star restaurant. It's indeed a barrel of 1 peak-grade God Spirit vein." The old fart also felt embarrassed when he heard Shi Japan's words. It turned out that Shi Japan had not extorted him, but he had made a fuss about nothing. It was simply shameful for a veteran expert like him to object to the price of a pot of wine. "Senior, I really don't have 4 peak-grade God Spirit veins on me," the old fart told Ning Cheng in embarrassment. He had just restored his primordial chaos cultivation level and had not had time to look for cultivation resources. He had a lot of divine crystals on him, so he had not expected to drink wine with a peak-grade God Spirit vein. "If the two seniors don't mind, this junior still has some high-grade God Spirit veins on me. We can drink a little less wine. In the Heavenly Union Star restaurant, there are countless good wines." Lu Qingtan saw the old fart's embarrassment and took the initiative to step forward. To be honest, even Ning Cheng felt a little reluctant to take out a peak-grade God Spirit vein to drink a pot of wine. What's more, the old fart even spoke arrogantly and invited Lu Qingtan and Qin Yu to drink. It was just that the old fart had already said those words. It was not in line with his identity as a senior to ask others to invite him to drink. Ning Cheng was just about to speak when he saw several people walk in. The man in the lead looked ordinary, but Ning Cheng felt a powerful Dao rune flow around him. He was definitely a half-step Dao integration expert. "Fellow Taoists, I'm Mu Qianfan, the manager of the Heavenly Union Star Restaurant. The best wine in our restaurant is the Heavenly Union Star Dew, and the price is indeed 1 peak grade God Spirit vein per barrel. But as this friend just said, in addition to the Heavenly Union Star Dew, our Heavenly Union Star Dew also has countless good wines, and the price is also much cheaper. The man cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and the others and spoke in a tone that was neither arrogant nor humble. Ning Cheng was just about to say no and just give them 4 barrels of the Heavenly Union Star Dew when he heard a crisp female voice say, "No need. Just the Heavenly Union Star Dew. Give me 5 barrels. These are 5 peak grade God Spirit veins." After the woman finished speaking, she threw a ring to Mu Qianfan. Mu Qianfan grabbed the ring but did not immediately check the contents. Instead, he politely cupped his fists towards the woman and said, "Welcome, fellow Taoist, to my Heavenly Union Star Restaurant." He vaguely felt that this woman's cultivation level was higher than his. Besides, even if this woman was not as strong as him, how could a cultivator who could take out 5 peak grade God Spirit veins to drink wine be simple? Because of the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda, the Heavenly Union Star attracted countless experts from the endless void. Therefore, Mu Qianfan did not dare to neglect it. After saying this, Mu Qianfan's spiritual consciousness swept through the ring and found 5 peak grade God Spirit veins inside. "Hurry up and send 5 barrels of the Heavenly Union Star Dew to this guest." After checking the ring, Mu Qianfan immediately asked the waiter on the side to send the wine. The woman nodded. Apparently, Mu Qianfan's action of not checking the ring immediately left a good impression on her. "Qianfan, our restaurant will treat you to these 5 barrels of wine. Return the ring to this fellow Taoist." Another voice sounded, followed by a slender man walking in quickly. "Deacon Li." Mu Qianfan quickly saluted. The Heavenly Union Star Restaurant was opened by the City Lord Mansion, and Li Kuanghe was the deacon of the City Lord Mansion. Therefore, he did not dare to neglect him. After saying this, Mu Qianfan immediately returned the ring to the female cultivator. Ning Qing did not move. He knew this female cultivator. She was Zhan Tai from the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda. Since this woman invited him to drink, she definitely wanted to cooperate with him. Now that he had obtained the quintessential essence of the universe, he did not want to enter the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda again. Since Ning Qing did not move, the old fart naturally did not move either. For him, the only one here who could convince him was Ning Qing alone. As for the rest of the people, why would he care about them? However, Lu Qingtan and Qin Yu stood up in fear. They did not expect that they would just come to the restaurant for a cup of wine. They actually saw the steward of the restaurant and the deacon of the City Lord Mansion. Moreover, the deacon of the City Lord Mansion was so polite. How could they sit down? "I'm Kuanghe from the City Lord Mansion. Greetings, fellow Taoists." Li Kuanghe greeted them with cupped fists in a very warm and friendly manner. He did not even ignore Qin Yu, who had the lowest cultivation. Chapter 1191. Ning Qing didn't know that Li Kuanghe was looking for him and Zhan Tai. When he heard that Li Kuanghe was the city master's mansion's deacon, he guessed that Li Kuanghe had come for him to ascend to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda. In fact, until now, Ning Qing still did not understand why he had reached the top of the tower. The cultivators on the public square were only talking about him reaching the 12th floor, even the old fogey thought that he had only reached the 12th floor. However, Ning Qing guessed that it was because he did not use his own power to resist the Tao charm of the Tao Pagoda on the 13th floor. Instead, he used the mysterious yellow bead to absorb the Tao charm laws of the Tao Pagoda. This matter did not affect him, and Ning Qing did not intend to ask about it. Initially, Ning Qing felt that he couldn't do anything for the city master's mansion. Since he was about to leave the Heavenly Union planet, he didn't plan to claim the reward. Since the Heavenly Union planet's city lord had mentioned a reward, he definitely needed the person to help him with something. Now that Deacon Li had come looking for him, Ning Qing also did not refuse. He stood up and cupped his fists and spoke, "Jiangzhou's Ning Qing thanks Deacon Li for your hospitality. Everyone, please take a seat." When Ning Qing stood up, the old fart naturally did not dare to continue sitting and also stood up. This detail, Deacon Lee saw it clearly. He immediately understood that this old fogey was following behind Ning Cheng. Although Deacon Lee had never heard of Jiangzhou, it did not hinder his enthusiasm towards Ning Cheng. Zhan Tai-yi, on seeing Ning Cheng accept Deacon Lee's invitation, did not leave and also sat down. Lu Qingtan and Qin Yu also knew Deacon Lee's prestige. They quickly stood up and reported their names. At the same time, they thanked Deacon Lee for his kind invitation. Only the old fart didn't move. A small deacon like Deacon Lee was no different from an ant in his eyes. He really could not figure out why Ning Cheng would give face to this little deacon. Because Deacon Lee was here, the voices of discussion instantly quieted down. Just because the old fart looked down on Deacon Lee didn't mean that the others didn't care about Deacon Lee. At this moment, the waiter quickly delivered 6 barrels of Heavenly Alliance Stardew. The old fart's eyes widened as he stared at the wine barrel on the table. After a while, he said speechlessly, "This is the first time I've seen such a big wine barrel." Ning Cheng also felt speechless. Exchanging a top-grade spirit vein for a barrel of wine was one thing, but the key thing was that the barrel's capacity was only equivalent to the size of a beer bottle. It was more like a bottle of wine than a barrel of wine. Deacon Lee hurriedly explained, "It is extremely difficult to obtain the raw materials needed to brew the Heavenly Alliance Stardew. Furthermore, it requires precious Dao fruits to be brewed using special methods. However, the taste of this wine is quite good. If you fellow Taoists don't mind, we can go to the private room and slowly enjoy it." "No, I think it's good to drink here." Ning Cheng waved his hand, grabbed one of the barrels and opened the lid. A rich and fragrant aroma of wine wafted out. This wine even had a strong Dao aura. Smelling the aroma of the wine, he felt as if he was immersed in an indescribable world. Most of the cultivators on the first floor of the restaurant were attracted by the aroma of the wine. Some of them even sat down cross-legged and began to sense the Daoist aura within. Ning Cheng's eyes also lit up. Compared to his none to depend on wine, this wine was a completely different type. Moreover, this kind of mellow fragrance was definitely a first-class wine. Ning Cheng lifted the barrel and gulped it down in one big gulp. A fiery sweet spring flowed down Ning Cheng's throat. This kind of taste was simply indescribable. When this wine entered his mouth, it felt like the strongest fire and also the coldest spring water. A clear Dao aura law merged with the mellow wine fragrance, giving people an endless aftertaste. Ning Cheng didn't use this Dao aura to deepen his spirit technique. Instead, he simply enjoyed the intoxication. His none to depend on wine contained a kind of concept, but this Heavenly Alliance Stardew contained Dao aura laws. Unlike the none to depend on wine, even Ning Cheng felt a little tipsy after taking a sip of the Heavenly Alliance Stardew. Although this tipsy feeling disappeared in an instant as his Dao aura circulated, it still felt like a kind of wine intoxication. Ning Cheng didn't know how long it had been since he started cultivating, but the Heavenly Alliance Stardew made him feel like he had returned to the mortal world. "Good wine!" Ning Cheng exclaimed. He instantly fell in love with this wine. The others couldn't bear it any longer. They opened the barrels and gulped it down in one gulp. Chen Yu's cultivation was slightly weaker, so she drank too much. With just a sip, she got drunk and lay on the table. After Lu Qingtan took a sip, he also felt slightly drunk. When he saw that his junior apprentice sister was drunk, he quickly covered the lid of the wine barrel, and also helped Chen Yu to cover the lid of her wine barrel, while apologizing to Ning Cheng and the others. Deacon Lee naturally knew about the strength of this wine. Even an early-stage primordial chaos cultivator would get drunk after taking a sip. As soon as these people drank, he could see through their cultivation levels. Ning Cheng took a sip of the wine and didn't feel anything. Apparently, the Dao aura law aura of the wine had instantly dissolved. Not only was Ning Cheng fine, but the short man next to Ning Cheng also wasn't simple. He took 2 sips in a row and didn't feel anything. He even took a 3rd sip. Moreover, the woman who was supposed to treat them also didn't have any reaction after taking a sip. This was obviously another expert. even Lu Qingtan wasn't simple. After taking a sip, he only felt a little tipsy. Let me first toast Brother Ning. Congratulations on setting foot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. For thousands of years, not to mention the 12th floor, there weren't many people who could reach the 10th floor. Deacon Li put up a soundproof restriction. After speaking to Ning Cheng, he raised the barrel and took a sip. He didn't ask if Ning Cheng was the one who had reached the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda and directly congratulated him. Ning Cheng smiled slightly and didn't deny it. He picked up the barrel and took another sip. Thank you, Deacon Li. Hearing Ning Cheng admit that he was the one who had reached the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, Deacon Li was pleasantly surprised. Before he could speak, Ning Cheng said again, Deacon Li, Daoist Zhang Tai-yi has also reached the 10th floor. When Deacon Li heard that Zhang Tai-yi was the cultivator who had reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, he could no longer hide the joy in his eyes. He raised the barrel and said to Zhang Tai-yi, it turns out that this Daoist friend is the same as Daoist Ning. She is also a rare genius in the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda for thousands of years. Li Kuanghe had been slacking off just now, so I'll drink first. After speaking, Deacon Li poured down another mouthful of wine. After 2 mouthfuls of wine, Deacon Li's face turned slightly red. Zhang Tai-yi nodded and picked up the barrel. Before she could drink, she heard a laugh coming from Deacon Li's soundproof restriction. Zombie, you really know how to hide. You even hid here to drink. The old man, who was drinking happily, immediately looked up. He saw a young man with a red crown on his head and a trace of demonic aura standing not far away. Brother Go. Giggle. After the old man called out, his teeth started chattering. Ning Cheng originally laughed at the name Old Man. It seemed that he wasn't the only one called Old Man Zombie. Now that he heard the old man's teeth chattering, he immediately knew that this person wasn't ordinary. Even if the old man faced death, he wouldn't have looked so scared. For example, if he feared Ning Cheng, he wouldn't have chattered his teeth. From this, Ning Cheng could tell that this Brother Go gave the old man a terrifying impression. Deacon Li's expression also changed slightly after his soundproof restriction tore apart. But when he saw this demonic young man, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Obviously, he knew about the power of this Brother Go. Zombie, you've got some guts. Not only did you steal my stuff, you even dare to show off in front of me. As the bewitching man spoke, he grabbed the old man's barrel of wine from the table and gulped down all the wine in a few mouthfuls. Then, he licked his lips with his scarlet tongue, as if wanting more. How could he be drunk? The old man thought to himself, only an idiot would wander around in front of you. But he didn't dare to answer the demonic young man's words. Instead, he looked at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng finally understood why the old man didn't leave. It turned out that he feared this demonic young man. What's this person's name? How did you become enemies with him? Ning Cheng's tone was very concise. Whether he wanted to help the old man or not, he had to listen to the old man's words. When the old man heard Ning Cheng's words, his expression eased up a bit and he quickly said, Senior, his name is Go Wansheng. Back then, he and I saw that cauldron together, and then. The old man didn't need to explain, but Ning Cheng already understood what was going on. Most likely, this Go Wansheng also acted like the old man and wanted to take advantage of the battle. As a result, he and the old man both took a fancy to a heaven and earth cauldron. But somehow, the old man snatched the heaven and earth cauldron. Hearing the old man call Ning Cheng, Senior, Go Wansheng, who wanted to reach out and grab the old man, stopped his actions. Instead, his gaze fell on Ning Cheng. After a long while, he smiled again. Do you know that my name is Go Wansheng? But people who know me call me Go Wusheng. What's my favorite thing to do? Do you know about zombies? You like eating living souls the most. The old man's expression turned ugly as he recalled Go Wansheng eating living souls. That's right. After Go Wansheng finished speaking, he raised his hand and made a grabbing motion. A perfected Tao Essence Holy Emperor behind him fell to the ground and turned into a soulless shell. His primordial spirit was in Go Wanqing's hand, and Go Wanqing opened his mouth. It was clearly an essence spirit, but Go Wanqing bit it so hard that crunching sounds could be heard. The essence spirit of this Tao Essence Holy Emperor screamed, and Ning Qing could clearly feel Go Wanqing biting the Tao charm of this Tao Essence Holy Emperor. Ning Qing frowned slightly. He finally understood why the old man was so afraid of Go Wanqing. Go Wanqing's method of chewing the soul of an essence spirit was several times worse than the cruelest torture. This kind of chewing the soul of a living essence spirit bit by bit, starting from the Tao charm aura, was an extremely miserable punishment. Go Wanqing seemed to have done some research on this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have grabbed the essence spirit of a perfected Tao Essence Holy Emperor with just a raise of his hand. After chewing the essence spirit of the Tao Essence Holy Emperor in his hand, Go Wanqing looked at Ning Qing. It looks like you have a problem with me taking the zombie away. For the zombie to call you senior, you're not simple. Ning Qing had not yet spoken when he heard a gentle voice speak up, Tao friend Go, can you give me some face and not haggle with my friends? As he spoke, a man with a gentle appearance walked into the restaurant with a smile on his face. When Ning Qing saw this man, he knew that he was a real expert, a perfected Tao integration expert. Chapter 1192. City Lord. When Deacon Li saw the person, he hurriedly greeted him. Ning Qing also understood. No wonder he had such strength. This person should be the city lord of the Heavenly Union Star City, Isa. He had heard from Shi Japan that Isa's cultivation level had even reached the half-step integration realm. It seemed that Shi Japan was right. This person's cultivation level was definitely not weaker than Yin Xingwen's. When Go Wanqing saw the person, the disdain on his face faded a lot. He casually cupped his fists and said, City Lord Yi, you're back. It's been a long time. I wouldn't dare. Isa replied politely and then continued, these are all important guests of the Heavenly Union planet. Taoist Go is an ancient emperor. Why bother with a few newcomers? Taoist Go, please don't care about this for my sake. I will definitely reward you handsomely. Isa saw that Ning Cheng's cultivation level was only at the early stage primordial chaos. Even if the woman's cultivation level was slightly higher, she was at most at the half-step Tao integration realm. Plus, he sensed that Ning Cheng and the others were very young, so he simply described them as newcomers. Go Wanqing suddenly raised his head and laughed as if he had heard something ridiculous. Isa frowned slightly. To be honest, even though he was not confident that he could suppress Go Wanqing, he was not afraid of him. Go Wanqing laughed wildly and did not take him seriously at all. Just as Isa was about to get angry, Go Wanqing's laughter suddenly stopped. City Lord Isa, I won't make a scene for your sake. That's because we know each other. How dare you bully me by saying that I'm blind? Do you think I'm easy to bully? Isa did not get angry immediately. Instead, he said in a deep voice, why do you say that, Taoist Go? Isa doesn't think he can deceive anyone. Go Wanqing sneered and pointed at the old man. This person is called Jiang Zhong, nicknamed Emperor Ping Ding. Before I died, he fought with me for a Khanate Dharma treasure. If I hadn't had a chance to reincarnate and be reborn, I would have turned into nothingness long ago. You actually said that a guy who fought with me for a Khanate Dharma treasure is a newcomer. Aren't you trying to bully me by saying that I'm blind? Isa opened his mouth wide. He had not expected that there would be an old fellow from the same generation as Isa. Plus, he had heard of Emperor Ping Ding. Just when he didn't know how to deal with it, Go Wanqing pointed to Ning Cheng and sneered at Isa, I don't know this person's name, but I know that Jiang Zhong calls him senior. Hee, a fellow who can make a zombie call senior, yet City Lord Yi calls him a newcomer. Isn't that bullying? Could it be that I, Go Wanqing, am not eloquent enough to eat all the souls on the Heavenly Union planet? Isa only received the news that two geniuses had reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union's Tao Pagoda. He had no idea about the matter between the old fogey and Ning Cheng. Now that Go Wanqing had asked him, he was speechless. Even Deacon Li, who stood next to him, did not know what to say. He did not know that Ning Cheng and that old fogey had such a terrifying background. Seeing that Esau was rendered speechless by his words, Go Wancheng snorted coldly and raised his hand to grab Qin again. Although this pink soul isn't very useful, it tastes good. Let me try it first. When Ning Cheng saw Go Wancheng attacking Qin, his eyes lit up with murderous intent. He immediately wanted to fight back, but Esau, who was closer to Go Wancheng, raised his hand and blasted out a Dao charm to block. Esau's Dao charm power and Go Wancheng's Dao charm power collided and instantly shattered the table. The powerful shockwave spread out, and the surrounding cultivators quickly dispersed. Lu Qingtan's drunken state had long since disappeared. He quickly took his junior sister Qin Yu and retreated more than 10 steps to the corner. If City Lord Esau hadn't stopped him, his junior sister would have died. Esau, what do you mean by this? The Dao runes in Go Wancheng's body surged instantly. At that moment, everything around him turned into dust. This space had become his world. At this moment, he was truly angry. He had indeed coveted Qin Yu's soul just now. However, the reason why he attacked Qin Yu was to see Ning Cheng's strength. He guessed that if he attacked Qin Yu, Ning Cheng would most likely stop him. That way, he would know the strength of the senior that the old fogey had sought refuge with. The violent Dao charm recoil force took a while for Esau to recover. He was extremely horrified. He knew that even if Go Wancheng had not reached Dao integration, he would not be weaker than him. Now that they were fighting, he realized that Go Wancheng was not weaker than him. He might even be slightly stronger than him. He had not used all his strength, and Go Wancheng had probably used even less strength. A half-step Dao integration Holy Emperor might actually be a little stronger than a perfected Dao integration Holy Emperor like him. He thought about his illustrious reputation on the Heavenly Union planet and how countless people trembled in fear when they heard his name. At this moment, Esau's heart was filled with confusion. Was all his glory fake? Or was it because he had not met a true expert? Esau's gaze swept across Ning Cheng and the others, and a trace of struggle flashed in his eyes. He was not afraid of Go Wancheng, but he was the city lord of the Heavenly Union planet. Go Wancheng was just a wandering ghost, and it would be difficult for him to keep him. Would it be wise to offend such a person for the sake of 2 unfamiliar cultivators who had set foot on the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda? Ning Cheng raised his hand to stop Esau from continuing to plead for them. He patted the old fart on the shoulder and said to Go Wancheng, "Old fart is my little brother. If you have any problems, come at me. Today, this old chi body will be protected. Whatever methods you have, just use them." After saying that, Ning Cheng felt a little strange. It was just like when he had seen a boss take out a cigarette and calmly light it up in a movie called Young and Dangerous. Then, he pretended that it did not matter even if the sky fell and said, "XXX is my little brother." Ning Cheng was a primordial chaos holy emperor, yet he had lost his face like this. Thinking of this, the corners of Ning Cheng's mouth unconsciously curled into a smile. Go Wancheng guessed what his little brother meant, but he did not know what Ning Cheng meant. When he saw the smile on Ning Cheng's face, the Dao runes around him surged out and he raised his hand to throw a punch. "In that case, let me see how strong you are." This punch was completely different from the one he had used against Esau before. It was just a casual punch, and neither he nor Esau had used their full strength. With this punch, Go Wancheng's violent and majestic pressure of heaven and earth manifested itself in this punch. The explosive Dao rune aura blasted out at this moment. Under the influence of the Dao runes of this punch, the Heavenly Alliance Stars restaurant, which was wrapped in layers of protective restrictions, did not even last for a moment before completely shattering and collapsing. The customers rushed out of the restaurant one after another. The weaker cultivators, who were slightly slower, also suffered serious injuries from the Dao rune aura that spread out. Ning Cheng felt the laws of heaven and earth condense. Go Wancheng's punch seemed to have swept over the laws of the entire Heavenly Alliance star. The Dao runes of these laws attached to his fist, bringing with them a destructive aura. Ning Qing thought to himself that the spirit abilities in the world were indeed different. His law-breaking spirit ability broke the laws of heaven and earth and enhanced the power of his attack. Go Wanqing's punch was the opposite of his law-breaking spirit ability. This punch condensed the spirit ability and also made its power stronger. Facing this punch, the old fogey did not dare to resist it and quickly flew out. Zhang Tai formed an invisible Dao rune defense around her and flew out of the restaurant at the same time. Although she wanted to use Ning Cheng's genius insights to join forces to climb the Dao pagoda, she knew that she was not Go Wanqing's opponent. Yi saw and Deacon Li sighed. Facing the power of this punch, they could only retreat for the time being. As for Lu Qingtan, he had already left with his junior sister Qinyu. Only Ning Qing couldn't escape because Go Wanqing's punch was aimed at him. The endless laws of heaven and earth swept over and condensed on Go Wanqing's Dao rune spirit ability, growing stronger and stronger. If it were a cultivator with a weaker mind, they would not even have the ability to resist at this time and would have been blasted to the ground by this terrifying law pressure. The condensed terrifying law pressure made Ning Cheng's clothes flutter, but it couldn't tear even a corner of Ning Cheng's clothes. Ning Cheng, who was in the center of this punch's spirit ability vortex, did not retreat. Instead, he punched out. Law-breaking spirit ability. Frozen space. The law pressure Ning Qing experienced on the 13th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Dao Pagoda was no weaker than the laws gathered by Go Wanqing's punch. Although Ning Qing had used the mysterious yellow formless to grind away the laws and then channeled the Dao rune laws into the mysterious yellow bead, it didn't mean that Ning Qing would be helpless without using this move. But it didn't mean that Ning Qing would be helpless if he didn't use this move. His law-breaking spirit technique had reached large success, and he could still shatter that terrifying law pressure. Kacha! A shattering sound rang out. Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit ability not only weakened Go Wanqing's heaven and earth laws, but it also shattered Go Wanqing's endless and powerful law power with a single punch. The heaven and earth laws shattered and roared in the air. Feeling the Dao rune laws he blasted out weaken and then shatter, Go Wanqing was shocked. He had rich combat experience. At this moment, he knew that he was not Ning Cheng's opponent. Not only was he not Ning Cheng's opponent, but his spirit ability also happened to be suppressed by Ning Cheng. No wonder Zombie Zhong Zun called him senior. This young man in front of him was definitely the reincarnation of a powerful expert. If Zombie Zhong hadn't called Ning Cheng senior, Go Wanqing might have brought out his weapon and continued to attack. But now, he didn't even have the mood to check the battle situation. With a tearing Dao rune, he was about to break through the Heavenly Alliance planet's star-protecting Grand Array and escape. He didn't want to face a powerful reincarnated expert. At the same time, an extremely cold law power bound him. At this moment, Go Wanqing felt as if he had fallen into an ice-sealed space. Feeling the threat of death, how could Go Wanqing not know that this was the frozen space spirit ability? At this moment, he even regretted not bringing out his own escape method immediately. At this time, why would Go Wanqing care about a precious escape talisman? His whole body turned into a blood shadow, and he activated an escape talisman. At the same time, Ning Cheng's next punch arrived. Kacha! Another crisp shattering sound rang out. This time, Go Wanqing tore apart Ning Cheng's frozen space. Almost at the same moment Go Wanqing escaped, Ning Cheng's fist wind Dao rune power reached Go Wanqing's back. Go Wanqing spat out a mouthful of blood and disappeared without a trace with the blood arrow. Chapter 1193. The exchange between Ning Cheng and Go Wanqing only lasted for a blink of an eye. Therefore, all the powerhouses present could clearly see what happened in that blink of an eye. The old man was even more shocked. This senior was just as ferocious as before. A few divine powers and one punch had forced Go Wanqing, who was at the half-step Dao integration realm, to flee. If Go Wanqing had been a little slower, he might have lost his life there. The experts who saw it clearly looked at Ning Cheng with a hint of awe in their eyes. Was this strength a primordial chaos holy emperor? The Heavenly Alliance Star Restaurant had already turned into rubble. Esau only recovered his wits in shock now. It was ridiculous that he still wanted to protect Ning Cheng and the others. Ning Cheng's strength was not any weaker than Yi Sa's, in fact, he was even stronger. Yi Sa was already numb to the fact that a chaotic essence Holy Emperor was more powerful than a Dao integration stage Holy Emperor. He quickly walked up to Ning Cheng and cupped his fists before speaking. Heaven Alliance's Star City Master Yi Sa greets this Dao friend. Just a moment ago, Yi Sa overestimated his own capabilities. I hope this Dao friend can forgive me. Ning Cheng smiled and cupped his fists before speaking. City Master Yi is too polite. I was just lucky. The surrounding people all pursed their lips. Luck? With luck, he could blow away Go Wancheng with one punch. In fact, what Ning Cheng said was not wrong, he really did rely on luck. If based on cultivation alone, Ning Cheng believed that he could eat up Go Wancheng. However, it was not enough to seriously injure Go Wancheng and force him to flee with one punch. Most importantly, Go Wancheng and he did not use any Dharma treasures. Moreover, Go Wancheng's first punch was a fist Dao divine power that swept through the heaven-earth law. His law destruction divine art happened to suppress Go Wancheng's divine art. In addition, Go Wancheng's first move had been suppressed by him, and Go Wancheng was afraid of him, a reincarnated almighty being. Go Wancheng was eager to escape, but he was unwilling to waste a top-notch escape talisman, so he fell into his icebound space. What happened next was simple. Go Wancheng used an escape talisman to escape in the frozen space, but he was still a little slow and was injured by his punch. In the distance, Zhang Taiyi's eyes lit up when she saw Ning Cheng blow away Go Wancheng with a single punch. Ning Cheng was the second powerhouse she had met who could easily defeat an opponent of a higher realm. No matter what, she had to make friends with such a person. Senior, if it weren't for Senior's help just now. The old man ran over with a smile. Ning Cheng did not wait for him to finish, as he patted his shoulder and spoke, Don't talk too much nonsense, I have something to ask you. At this time, Ning Cheng naturally understood that this old fogey wanted to use him to deal with Zhu Wancheng. Regardless of whether the old fart had bad intentions or not, this fellow was still using him, so he naturally wouldn't be polite to the old fart. Hearing this old fart address Ning Cheng as senior, Yi Sa was at a loss for words. He wanted to invite Ning Cheng to the city master's mansion, but he was a city master. Moreover, his cultivation was also far higher than Ning Cheng's. Calling Ning Cheng as a senior was really, Ning Cheng, who noticed Yi Sa's awkwardness, said with cupped fists, City Lord Yi, you can just call me Ning Cheng. I would like to ask how to get to the beyond of heaven and earth. Before Yi Sa could answer, Zhang Taiyi, who walked over, said, I know the way because I came from heaven's beyond. At this time, Yi Sa also took the opportunity to say, now that the restaurant has been destroyed, why don't the few of you come to my city lord's mansion for a while and let Yi Sa do his part as a host. Although it's a little far from the heavenly union planet to the beyond of heaven and earth, there are many ways to go. In addition to going to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, Ning Cheng also considered which of the 5 grand realms was closer. If the 5 grand realms were close to him, then he would want to go back first. Not to mention that the Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court army had started to attack the Grand Essence Demon Vein under his Dao Lord's command. He also didn't feel at ease with Shi Qianghua in the Grand Change Realm. Previously, he did not have the strength to go over. Now, he believed that even the Taiyin Xingwen would not be able to pose a threat to him. As for the Grand Essence Dao Court's army attacking the Grand Essence Demon Vein, Ning Cheng wasn't worried at all. The Grand Essence Dao Court had so many experts. If they couldn't deal with the Grand Essence Demon Vein, then they would be too weak. Clearly, the Heavenly Union Planet's City Lord was most familiar with the route out of the Heavenly Union Planet. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke, then I will have to trouble City Master Yi. After that, he cupped his fists and thanked Zhang Taiyi. Yi Sa felt overjoyed when he heard that Ning Cheng was willing to go to the City Lord's mansion. He quickly cupped his fists towards Zhang Taiyi and asked, You must be a Dao friend who climbed the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. If you don't mind, please come to my Heavenly Union City Lord's mansion. Zhang Taiyi showed a slight smile, Many thanks, City Master Yi. My name is Zhantai Yi, and I was lucky enough to set foot on the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. Zhantai Yi accepting the invitation was within Ning Cheng's expectations. Even if Isa didn't invite Zhantai Yi would have taken the initiative to enter the City Lord's mansion with him in order to cooperate with him. The Heavenly Union planet had many experts, and the Heavenly Union restaurant's Heavenly Union Star Do also had first-class prices. However, the Heavenly Union Star City's City Lord's mansion looked very ordinary. Apart from the decent defensive array formations, everything else looked no different from an ordinary cave mansion. The only thing that stood out was the huge divine herb garden outside the City Lord's mansion, which had all kinds of rare divine grasses growing lush. Rather than a City Lord's mansion, it looked more like an ordinary cultivator's cave mansion. Seemingly seeing Ning Cheng's doubts, Isa smiled and said, I rarely invite guests to the City Lord's mansion. Even if I have something to do, it would be outside the City Lord's mansion. The implication was that inviting Ning Cheng and the others to the City Lord's mansion was a very rare thing. Under Isa's lead, the few people passed through the divine herb garden and a lotus pond before entering a simple living room. After everyone sat down, Isa took out a few pots of wine and brought them to everyone. The wine that Isa brought out was naturally the Heavenly Union Star Do that Ning Cheng and the others didn't enjoy in the restaurant. This wine is good. The old man's eyes immediately lit up when he saw the Heavenly Union Star Do. He grabbed the wine pot and drank it in one gulp. Although the old man addressed Ning Cheng as senior, Isa and Li Kuanghe didn't feel surprised by the old man's actions after knowing his identity. After Isa brought the wine to everyone, he stood up and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. If it weren't for Dao friend Ning's help today, I'm afraid my Heavenly Union Star City would have lost more than just a restaurant. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. City Lord, you're too polite. In fact, even if I didn't make a move, Go Wanqing wouldn't have been able to do anything to City Lord. Isa froze. What did Ning Cheng mean? Although he and Go Wanha had only clashed once before, he was clearly at a slight disadvantage. Ning Cheng was a bystander, and his strength wasn't any worse than Isa's. Just when he was about to continue explaining, Isa suddenly smiled. He understood Ning Cheng's words, and his previous depressed mood disappeared in an instant. The confidence of a perfected Dao integration expert returned to him. Ning Cheng was right. He had accidentally fallen into Go Wanqing's trap. Many thanks for Brother Ning's reminder. Otherwise, Isa would still be in the dark. Isa thanked Ning Cheng in a refreshed manner and changed the way he addressed him from Dao friend Ning to Brother Ning. Go Wanqing had suddenly attacked Qinyu, and he had been standing a step behind Go Wanqing. In other words, even if he attacked later, Go Wanqing would still have the upper hand. In addition, he was very afraid of Go Wanqing and had a shadow in his heart. Even so, he and Go Wanqing were almost evenly matched. Even if he was slightly inferior, it was reasonable. From this, it could be seen that he didn't need to be afraid of Go Wanqing at all. He thought of how Go Wanqing had swaggered around him as soon as he had arrived. That kind of powerful aura told him that Go Wanqing had put pressure on him at that time. It had made him feel that he was no match for an ancient great emperor like Go Wanqing. Even if this kind of mentality was extremely subtle, it would be reflected in the battle. In a battle between experts, even the slightest bit could affect the Dao rune laws. In fact, he didn't need to have such fear at all. Even if Go Wanqing was an ancient sacred emperor, he hadn't succeeded in Dao integration after all. Ning Cheng saw through Isa's mood and said again, even if Go Wanqing reached Dao integration, Daoist doesn't have to be afraid of him. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, Isa suddenly saw the light. He had been living cautiously because of that matter. Cultivating the Dao in the vast universe required one to cultivate an indomitable aura. The more cautious and careful he was, the more his strength would be suppressed. In the end, he was afraid of death. It wasn't that he was afraid of death, but he knew that he couldn't die and nothing could happen to him. After Ning Cheng advanced to primordial chaos, his Dao became clearer and clearer. Moreover, his returning to one Dao was on a far higher level than Isa's Dao. Because of this, he could see Esau's situation. Although Esau understood a lot after he enlightened him, he still hadn't completely let go. Therefore, he asked, City Lord Yi, is there something on your mind? Given City Lord Yi's realm, if you let go of your worries, it wouldn't be impossible for you to reach the third step. When Esau heard Ning Cheng's words, he suddenly stood up and bowed to Ning Cheng. Brother Ning, Esau has something to ask of you. I would like to delay you for some time. Ning Cheng didn't need to think about it to know that Esau's request was no trivial matter. He didn't wait for Esau to speak at all and said with some embarrassment, City Lord Yi, I have a lot of things to do recently. The reason why I came here is to ask City Lord Yi about a few locations. Ning Cheng suddenly paused. Because of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda, the Heavenly Union planet was a place where experts from various realms and planes gathered. It could be said that the complexity of the cultivators here was no less than that of Heavens Beyond, which was located at the intersection of several planes. If he wanted the 5 soils, could he also ask Esau? When Esau heard Ning Cheng's words, his face showed extreme disappointment. He really didn't want to wait any longer. If he waited any longer, he might feel guilty for the rest of his life and even live a life worse than death. What's more, if he continued like this, his Tao might regress instead of advancing. However, Ning Cheng had said that he had something to do, so he couldn't force Ning Cheng to help him. By the way, City Lord Yi, do you know anything about the chaotic 5 soils? Ning Cheng asked. Given his current strength, there was no need to hide it. When Esau heard Ning Cheng's words, he immediately said in a trembling voice, I know where the breath soil is. Ning Cheng looked at Esau in confusion. City Lord Yi, are you talking about the news of the breath soil in Heavens Beyond? Esau then understood why Ning Cheng wanted to go to Heavens Beyond. He quickly replied, it's not Heavens Beyond. Very few people know about the existence of the breath soil, but it already has an owner. Where is it? When Ning Cheng heard that it wasn't Heavens Beyond, he immediately stood up in surprise, his eyes filled with ecstasy. He didn't want just a little breath soil. He needed the breath soil to repair the great essence realm, and he also needed it to refine the divine spear. His divine spear was now ready, and he only lacked the breath soil. So what if it had an owner? As long as it was an item, it had value. As long as it had value, it could be exchanged. He didn't lack all kinds of treasures. The breath soil was precious, but his quintessential essence of the universe and chaos chi were not bad either. Even if he couldn't get it, he still had the Khanate dragon pearl. For the sake of the breath soil, he would go all out. Chapter 1194. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Esau looked at Zhantai Yi and hesitated for a moment before saying, there is also a pagoda there. That pagoda is somewhat similar to the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. The pagoda has 9 floors, and the laws inside are extremely powerful. With my ability, I can only set foot on the 5th floor before being blasted away. The one controlling this pagoda is a Tao Integration Realm Holy Emperor. However, he hasn't completely refined this pagoda yet. Ning Cheng understood why Esau wanted to find someone who could set foot on the 9th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. It seemed that he wanted to go to this pagoda. Since he wanted to go to this pagoda, there must be a reason. Just now, when he heard about the live soil, his face lit up. Presumably, he guessed that the live soil might change his mind and help him. Ning Cheng sat down and calmed down a lot. City Lord Yi, is the live soil on this pagoda or on the person controlling it? If this pagoda had been refined by someone, no matter how conceited he was, he wouldn't be stupid enough to go to someone else's treasure. Esau suddenly clenched his fists, and the Tao runes and murderous aura around him kept fluctuating. Ning Cheng didn't care about Esau's actions. He knew that Esau wasn't targeting him. Sure enough, after a while, Esau's fluctuations slowly calmed down. He tried to keep his voice calm and said, I originally had a Tao companion called Shu Rui. Speaking of his Tao companion, Esau's tone turned gentle. That day, Shu Rui advanced to primordial chaos. I was very happy and invited many friends to Heavenly Alliance planet to celebrate her advancement to primordial chaos. Di Wuxuan was among the people I invited. At that time, because I was happy, I drank some Heavenly Alliance Star Dew and got a little drunk. After the celebration, those friends left one after another, but Di Wuxuan stayed behind. What I didn't expect was that Di Wuxuan would shamelessly make a move and restrain Shu Rui. Because I was a little drunk, I acted a little late and couldn't stop him. At this point, Esau's gentle tone became somewhat agitated and he clenched his fists once more. In order to find Shu Rui, I left the Heavenly Union planet. It was only because Brother Li Kuanghe was here all these years that the prestige of the Heavenly Union planet has not fallen. Li Kuanghe sighed but didn't speak. Esau continued, in order to find Shu Rui, I roamed the void for countless years. Finally, I found some clues left behind by Shu Rui. Later, I followed these traces and found a very amazing magic treasure. After a slight pause, Esau looked at Ning Qing expectantly and said, "This artifact is called the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda. It's a top-grade innate defensive artifact." Ning Qing instantly understood what was going on. He had cultivated to the primordial chaos realm, so some things were naturally not unfamiliar to him. He had heard of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda before. In terms of prestige, it was far above his everlasting Blue Thunder City. It was very difficult to refine this magic treasure. There were 9 layers in total, and it was said that it required the blood essence of a woman with naturally terminated meridians and the help of the living soil. Once refined, the woman would become an artifact spirit, and the soil of breath would strengthen the innate Tao law of the pagoda. Since Esau had spoken so much, how could Ning Qing not understand what he meant? It was certain that Shu Rui was a woman with naturally terminated meridians. Moreover, that Di Wuxuan possessed the breath soil. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been qualified to refine the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda. A woman with naturally terminated meridians couldn't even survive, let alone cultivate. However, Esau was the Heavenly Union Star's city lord and had a perfected Dao integration cultivation. It shouldn't have been surprising for him to use a top-grade treasure to save Shu Rui. From this, one could see Di Wuxuan's cruelty. It wasn't easy for a woman with naturally terminated meridians to survive. Then, he extracted her blood essence to refine the magic treasure and turned her into an artifact spirit. This was no different from Go Wanqing chewing on living souls. One could imagine how much torture Shu Rui had to endure during this process. As long as the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda was not refined, Shu Rui's torture wouldn't end. Once the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda was refined, Shu Rui would die and become an artifact spirit with no memories of her previous life. Naturally, she wouldn't be tortured anymore. Esau saw that Ning Qing understood the meaning of his words and bowed to the ground. Esau found the location of the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda, but I couldn't enter the 7th floor to save my Dao companion, Shu Rui. I'm afraid that Go Wanqing has already refined it to the 9th floor. If I go any later, Shu Rui might not be able to be saved. I ask Brother Ning and Dao friend Tan Tai to help me set foot on the top floor of the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda and save my poor Dao companion. Zhan Tai didn't speak. It wasn't impossible to go to the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda. But the 9 Da Space Suppression Pagoda was a treasure that others were currently refining. Even if they couldn't refine it completely, they could at least control a part of it. Once it was completely refined, it would only mean death for outsiders like them to go in. Ning Qing stood up without hesitation. "Let's go. I'll accompany you." Not to mention the breath soil, even without the breath soil, he would still help Esau. If it was before, he wouldn't have the ability to do so without his cultivation. For the current him, this was something that was completely within his power. Zhan Tai, on seeing that Ning Qing wanted to go, also stood up and said, "City Master Yi, since this person is so cruel, Zhan Tai naturally won't refuse. I will also help you." Esau felt overjoyed. With his eyesight, how could he not see that Zhan Tai wanted to go because Ning Qing wanted to? But he still felt very grateful. Two powerhouses who reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda were much better than one powerhouse who reached the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. The old fart wanted to say goodbye, but Ning Cheng had said that he wanted to ask him something. Now that Ning Cheng hadn't asked him anything, he wanted to say goodbye. If he angered Ning Cheng, this senior, he would be finished. Thinking of this, he wiped the wine from the corner of his mouth. City Master Yi, this wine is good. After drinking your wine, Jiang Zhong will also go and see who this Di Wushuan is. Two powerhouses who reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda, plus an ancient heavenly emperor like the old fart, made Isa feel even more surprised. With this group of people, if they still couldn't save Shu Rui from the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda, it would mean that Shu Rui didn't have enough luck. Because of this, he didn't hide anything and said everything he could and couldn't say. Seeing Isa look at him, Ning Cheng understood that this was a request for his help. He stood up and said, "Don't hesitate. Let's go now." After everyone left the Heavenly Union Star, Ning Cheng realized why Isa wasn't in the Heavenly Union Star. He had been constantly interfering with Di Wushuan's refining of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. If not for his interference over the years, perhaps Di Wushuan would have already refined this innate defensive treasure. A month later, Isa brought Ning Cheng and the others to a hovering void maelstrom. Ning Cheng knew that this place most likely contained either bright void or dark void. Thinking of bright void and dark void, Ning Cheng immediately thought of the rogue cultivator Lanya who told him about it. He wondered how Lanya was doing now. This is a bright void maelstrom, and it doesn't look like there's anything inside. Few people would stay here for long. No one would know that there would be a treasure like the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda inside. Isa pointed to the void maelstrom and spoke with a hateful voice. Ning Cheng nodded. "City Master Yi, you take the lead. We'll follow behind." This void maelstrom wasn't too strong, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could sweep inside. Okay. After Isa responded, he quickly rushed into the void maelstrom. Ning Cheng and the others also followed into the void maelstrom. The powerful tearing force of the maelstrom was nothing compared to the cultivation of Ning Cheng and the others. Following the force of the maelstrom, the group walked for a few hours before they appeared at the bottom of a dark valley. This valley was devoid of spiritual qi and filled with useless void meteorite debris. Isa quickly found one of the countless forks and entered it. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness directly broke through many of the natural restrictions, as well as some low-level interface obstructions, before falling onto a pitch-black tower. This tower exuded a vast aura, as if it came from ancient times. All kinds of Dao charms cascaded down from the top of the tower, circulating endlessly. Isa moved in the direction of this tower. Ning Cheng didn't even have to ask to know that this was the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. After another 2 hours, Isa finally stopped. In front of him was the giant tower that Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had seen before. The Dao charms cascaded down from the top of the tower like a curtain of pearls, with as many as 8 kinds. Isa's expression turned a little ugly. "Brother Ning, Di Wushuan has already refined to the 8th level." The reason why his expression turned ugly was that the refining of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda was the most difficult, while the last level was the easiest. Isa hadn't finished his sentence when another Dao charm cascaded down from the top of the tower. Although the Dao charm was weak, it continued to grow stronger. He refined to the 9th level. The Dao charm around Isa suddenly turned a little chaotic. He took a few steps forward and wanted to rush into the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Li Kuanghe, who stood next to Isa, pulled him back. "City Master, even if Di Wushuan refined to the 9th level, it wouldn't take him a while to refine the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Since Brother Ning is here, we should listen to Brother Ning." Isa calmed down and knew that Li Kuanghe was right. If he had a way, he would have already entered the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda to rescue Shu Rui. Ning Cheng turned to the old fart and Zhantai Yi and said, "You two and Deacon Li stay outside the pagoda and wait for me. City Master Yi and I will go in and have a look." "Yes, Senior. I will definitely not leave." I will stay here and wait for you. The old fart didn't want to enter the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda at all. The 9 Dao space suppression pagoda had already been refined to the 9th level. If he went in and ended up trapped inside, his countless years of hard work would have been in vain. Zhang Tai also bowed and said, I will listen to Brother Ning. I believe that Brother Ning can save senior apprentice sister Shu Rui. Originally, Zhang Tai hesitated to enter the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda after seeing the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda refined to the 9th level. But now that Ning Qing took the initiative to ask her to stay outside, she naturally wouldn't go in. She had also heard of the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. It was a top-grade innate defensive weapon. The only drawback was that it was difficult to refine and recognize its owner. But once one started refining it, the refining time for each level would get shorter and shorter. Moreover, the more one refined this weapon, the easier it would become. Chapter 1195. As Ning Qing spoke these few words, the 9th Dao charm hanging outside the 9 Dao suppression pagoda started to solidify, which meant that the 9 Dao suppression pagoda was about to be refined. Esau's eyes were red. Even though he was extremely anxious, he still resisted the urge to go in first. Let's go. After Ning Qing finished speaking, he turned around and rushed into the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. Esau did not hesitate to follow behind Ning Qing and rushed in. At this moment, not to mention the old geezer who was already in awe of Ning Qing, even Zhang Tai couldn't help but marvel at Ning Qing's decisiveness. Under such circumstances, if she was in his shoes, she would definitely not enter the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda. From this, it could be seen that although Ning Qing had a powerful cultivation, he was also an extremely impulsive person. This kind of person might have a good opportunity, but in the end, his achievements would not be too high. Seeing Ning Qing quickly walk towards the entrance to the 2nd floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda, Esau hesitated for a moment before speaking up, Brother Ning, Esau feels very grateful to you. But I'm afraid it's too late now. You go out first, Shu Yu deserves this. Ning Qing understood what Esau meant. Esau wanted to say that by the time they reached the 9th floor of the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda, Shu Rui would have already lost all of her essence blood and turned into an artifact spirit. At that time, even if he wanted to come out, he wouldn't be able to. Brother Yi, since you're here, don't hesitate. This isn't the mentality a Dao integration holy emperor should have, Ning Qing said as he entered the 2nd level. Esau thanked Ning Qing in his heart for changing the way he addressed him to Brother Yi, which showed that Ning Qing's view of him had fundamentally changed. At the same time, he also knew that Ning Qing was right. For a powerhouse like him, since he had already decided on something, then the most taboo thing to do was to hesitate. Esau, in order to save his Dao companion Shu Rui, went all out, which gave Ning Qing a good impression. Ning Qing decided to make friends with Esau. The pressure on the 2nd floor of the 9-layered sky-suppressing pagoda suddenly increased, but it had almost no effect on Ning Qing. The mysterious yellow formless Dao charm around Ning Qing directly erased the law pressure. Ning Qing didn't even bother to bring out his law-breaking spirit technique at this moment and climbed up to the 3rd floor. Esau was secretly shocked, but at the same time, he rejoiced. Not to mention the difference in cultivation, Ning Qing's performance in the 9 Dao suppressing sky pagoda was much stronger than him. Initially, he had to spend a lot of time to advance from the 2nd to the 3rd floor, while Ning Qing almost did not encounter any obstacles. From the 3rd to the 4th floor, Ning Qing still did not encounter any obstacles. Only after reaching the 5th floor did Ning Qing unleash a law-breaking spirit technique. Seeing Ning Qing's power, Esau's confidence soared. When he first entered the 5th floor, he had to put in a lot of effort. But now, Ning Qing could enter the 5th floor with just a single spirit technique. Compared to him, it was much easier. Of course, he also knew that Di Wuxuan wanted to seize the time to refine the 9 Dao sky-suppressing pagoda and had no time to stop Ning Qing. Even so, one could see that the unrefined 9 Dao space-suppressing pagoda posed almost no hindrance to Ning Qing. It seemed that his choice to ascend to the 9th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao pagoda to help him was the right choice. However, because such experts were rare, he had never found one. Just as Esau thought about it, Ning Cheng had already rushed to the 6th floor. An extremely powerful pressure of the laws of heaven and earth came crashing down. If it weren't for him rushing to the 9th floor, Ning Cheng wouldn't have to use any means to face this kind of pressure. But this time, before Ning Cheng could use his law-breaking spirit technique, 5 colored thunder lights blasted down. These 5 thunder lights directly blocked Ning Cheng's path. Facing these 5 thunder lights, Ning Cheng had no other way but to retreat to the 5th floor. Huh, it's a thunder-attributed cultivator. Ning Cheng exclaimed but didn't retreat. Instead, he unleashed another law-breaking spirit technique. Esau, who was behind Ning Cheng, hurriedly said, "Brother Ning, Di Wuxuan isn't a thunder-attributed cultivator. These 5 colored thunder lights are his weapon spirit technique. He has a 5-essence thunder umbrella, which can unleash the 5-colored thunder light spirit technique. Let's retreat for now. Once we get swept by these 5-colored thunder lights, we will lose our spiritual consciousness for a short time." Esau, who had suffered a loss due to this weapon, hurriedly called out. Losing one's spiritual consciousness in other places wouldn't be a big deal, but this was the 9 Dao space-suppressing pagoda. Moreover, Di Wuxuan had already refined the first few floors of this pagoda. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. Not only did he not retreat, but after his law-breaking spirit technique split open, his figure rushed into the 5-colored thunder lights. Esau, who originally wanted to retreat, saw Ning Cheng rush in. Therefore, he also rushed in without thinking about it. He couldn't let the person who came to help him take action while he himself retreated. Seeing Esau rush over despite knowing the power of the 5-essence thunder umbrella, Ning Cheng couldn't help but admire him in his heart. Esau didn't make a mistake in helping him. Only such a person deserved his help. Boom boom boom. The 5 thunder lights slammed into Ning Cheng's body and exploded into countless lightning arcs. But that was all. These lightning arcs only hit Ning Cheng for a moment before disappearing without a trace. In front of Esau's shocked eyes, Ning Cheng had already rushed to the 7th floor. The 9 Dao suppression pagoda, which was extremely terrifying to Esau, looked like a flat sunny road under Ning Cheng's feet. "Brother Ning!" Esau called out in surprise. Ning Cheng could scare away Go Wansheng, which meant that he was powerful. He didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this powerful. On the 9th floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda, a man with a red face sat in the middle. A giant umbrella with flashing lightning floated above his head. He didn't care much about Ning Cheng rushing to the 5th floor or even the 6th floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda. Because he had mobilized the Dao charm power of the first few floors to refine the 9th floor, the law pressure on the first few floors of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda was much lower than the actual pressure on the 9th floor. After Ning Cheng rushed to the 6th floor, he brought out his weapon and shot 5 colored lightning arcs at Ning Cheng. In his opinion, these 5 colored lightning arcs would definitely sweep Ning Cheng and Esau back to the 5th floor. By the time the two rushed to the 6th floor again, his 9 Dao suppression pagoda would have almost finished refining it. If he hadn't finished refining it, he could just give them another try. But when he saw the 5 colored lightning arcs blasting Ning Cheng's body, not even lifting the corner of Ning Cheng's clothes, he suddenly stood up in shock. The Dao charm power he mobilized in the 9 Dao suppression pagoda was immediately restored by him, and the pressure in the pagoda increased by dozens of times in an instant. Ning Cheng's speed made him afraid. Even if he slowed down the refining of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda, he couldn't let Ning Cheng continue like this. At the same time he restored the 9 Dao suppression pagoda's Dao charm power, more than a dozen 5-colored lightning arcs blasted out. On the 7th floor, Esau instantly felt the terrifying pressure that had increased by dozens of times. The moment the pressure increased, his bones started to crack. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood essence. At the same time, he also saw Ning Cheng's footsteps slow down and clearly heard Ning Cheng's bones making ka-ka sounds. This scene was like a bucket of cold water poured over his head. He knew what was going on. Di Wuxuan gave up mobilizing the Dao charm power of the first few floors to refine the 9 Dao suppression pagoda. Instead, he returned the power to the 9 Dao suppression pagoda. He wanted to use the 9 Dao suppression pagoda and his spirit technique to stop the two from entering the 9th floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda. With such terrifying pressure, even Ning Cheng might not be able to stop it. Despair rose in Esau's heart. He knew that the 7th floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda was stronger than the 5th floor, but he didn't know that it was this strong. At this moment, he felt the Dao charm aura around Ning Cheng's body suddenly grow stronger. He almost rubbed his eyes because he could clearly feel the terrifying Dao charm law power around Ning Cheng. At the same time, he saw Ning Cheng raise his hand and wave out several auras of laws. The pressure suddenly decreased, and the next moment, he heard Ning Cheng call out to him, "Why aren't you leaving yet? What are you staying here for?" Esau instantly understood, this kind of terrifying pressure, Ning Cheng could also resist it. At this moment, he couldn't suppress the ecstasy in his heart at all. He followed Ning Cheng and rushed to the 8th floor. Before the 9 Dao suppression pagoda was fully refined, the power of laws on the 8th floor was stronger than the 7th floor. But even then, the strength was limited. Ning Cheng blasted out several law-breaking spirit techniques, and the pressure around him quickly decreased again. At this moment, more than a dozen 5-colored lightning bolts blasted over. Just like before, Ning Cheng did not care about these more than a dozen 5-colored lightning bolts, allowing these more than a dozen lightning bolts to bombard his body. The next moment, Ning Cheng passed through the lightning bolts and rushed to the 9th floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda. Esau was shocked by Ning Cheng's heaven-defying means and even subconsciously followed Ning Cheng into the 9th floor. As soon as he entered the 9th floor, Esau's eyes widened. "Di Wuxuan, you beast." In the middle of the 9th floor stood a red-faced man with a dull expression. However, his face looked a little blue at the moment. Above this man's head, a giant 5-colored umbrella floated. In the corner of the 9th floor, a woman with lifeless eyes knelt on the ground. The reason why he said it was a woman was because there were a few accessories on her hair. Apart from that, this woman looked no different from a skeleton. Her blood essence had already been sucked dry. Esau rushed over and directly tore the restriction in front of the woman into pieces with a raise of his hand. The red-faced man was Di Wuxuan. He finally reacted and raised his hand to grab the 5 elements thunder umbrella while staring at Ning Cheng in fear. Ning Cheng had shattered his understanding. How could there be such a powerful primordial chaos holy emperor? Even if he hadn't fully refined the 9 Dao suppression pagoda, who could rush to the 9th floor of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda so quickly? One had to know that it took him tens of thousands of years to reach the 9th floor from the 1st floor. "Who are you?" Di Wuxuan took in a deep breath and asked while staring at Ning Cheng. He was ready to escape at any time. Not to mention a terrifying powerhouse like Ning Cheng, he couldn't even beat Esau. At this moment, he felt some regret. He shouldn't have extracted the Dao charm law power from the first few floors of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda to refine the 9th floor. If he hadn't done so, maybe this person in front of him wouldn't have been able to come up. Chapter 1196. You are Di Wuxuan. A guy who just reached Dao integration is so arrogant and dared to behave atrociously in the Heavenly Union's Thunder City. Ning Cheng sized up Di Wuxuan and spoke with some disappointment. It could be said that besides the 9 sky-suppressing pagoda, Di Wuxuan was practically useless. Die for me. Di Wuxuan seemed to be angered to the extreme. The 5 elements thunder umbrella erupted with the power of 5 different attributes. However, this time, it was not the lightning that shot out, but the 5 elements space. At the same time that he brought out the 5 yuan space, a talisman had already appeared in his hand. He believed that his 5 essence space would be able to stop Ning Cheng for 1 to 2 breaths. Ning Cheng gave a cold snort. "Go watching escape from my hands, and you want to leave too?" At this moment, the cold void light spear rolled up 1,000 feet of ice light. Endless Daoist rhymes blasted out, completely freezing the space on the 9th floor of the 9-path sky-suppressing pagoda. He had come here for the breath soil. Even if he had to go all out, he would not let Di Wuxuan escape. When Ning Cheng's traceless spear line swept past Di Wuxuan's escape talisman, it immediately slowed down. Immediately after, Ning Cheng's icebound space appeared, and the escape talisman's light exploded onto the icebound space. Whether it was the quality of the escape talisman or the strength, Di Wuxuan could not compare to Go Wansheng. Go Wansheng could tear through Ning City's icebound spatial space and escape, but Di Wuxuan could not tear through Ning City's icebound spatial space in a short time. Catcha! With a cracking sound, Di Wuxuan's escape talisman blasted open a crack in Ning Cheng's icebound spatial. Di Wuxuan wholeheartedly wanted to escape and did not care about Ning Cheng behind him. Instead, he raised his hand and tore at the cracks in the ice-sealed spatial. The icebound space was finally torn apart by Di Wuxuan. At the same time, Isa had already rushed over. A cyan radiance with Dao charm flowing around it shot out. Di Wuxuan's figure instantly slowed down. The green radiance pierced through Di Wuxuan's chest, and the circulation of Dao runes on his body also loosened significantly. Di Wuxuan didn't have time to care about his injuries. He knew that if he couldn't escape from the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda today, he would definitely die. The escape talisman shone brightly again, and a space was set up in the air by him. Di Wuxuan heaved a sigh of relief. The escape talisman had finally been activated. Now, he just had to wait to leave. However, Di Wuxuan quickly sensed that something was amiss. He was not teleported away as he had imagined. A spatial force more powerful than his escape talisman blocked his escape talisman. Di Wuxuan felt that this was the power of Ning Cheng's laws of space. The giant hand condensed from Ning Cheng's Dao charm tore through the space formed by the escape talisman and directly grabbed Di Wuxuan's neck. Not far away, Yi Sa, who had just injured Di Wuxuan and was holding onto Shu Rui, looked at Ning Cheng in shock. Ning Cheng, who was at the early stage primordial chaos realm, had condensed a Dao rune handprint to grab the neck of Di Wuxuan, who was at the early stage Dao integration realm. It was like picking up a little chick. Isa estimated that he would never forget this shocking scene for the rest of his life. "Senior, this junior has no enmity with you. Why did you attack me?" Di Wuxuan, who had been grabbed by Ning Cheng, asked in despair. Ning Cheng spoke up in a light voice, "Scum like you, I will kill you every time I see you. Tell me, where is the breathing soil?" Di Wuxuan suddenly let out a scream, "If you want the breathing soil, then ask for the breathing soil. Don't find any noble excuses. If this emperor dies, then I die. If you want this emperor to tell me where the breathing soil is." Ah! Ning Cheng's Dao charm tightened, and Di Wuxuan suddenly screamed in pain. The Dao charm in his meridians shattered inch by inch, and his Zifu also shattered at the same time. "Let me go, I will tell you the breathing soil." Di Wuxuan felt a sense of sadness in his heart. How many hardships had he gone through to succeed in Dao unification? If he had another half a day, no, as long as he had an hour, he could have refined the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. At that time, wouldn't he be able to go anywhere he wanted in the vast universe? He was unwilling, truly unwilling. But just when he was about to succeed, he failed. "Brother Ning, give him to me. If I don't torture him to tell me where the breathing soil is, I will forever." Yi Sa, whose eyes had turned red, gnashed his teeth with sadness and murderous intent. Before he could finish, Ning Cheng interrupted him, "No need. I already know where the breathing soil is. I'll leave this person to you." After Ning Cheng finished, he threw Di Wuxuan to Yi Sa and flew to the top of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda's 9th floor and grabbed a gray wooden box. The moment he crushed Yi Sa's Zifu meridians and destroyed Yi Sa's corporeal body and essence spirit cultivation, he sensed the location of the breathing soil. Ning Cheng immediately opened the wooden box and grabbed a fist-sized piece of soil from it. The soil was gray and exuded a primal chaos Dao charm aura. It felt as if it contained the essence of the entire world. The small piece of soil in his hand felt as heavy as a planet. It really is the breathing soil. Unfortunately, it's too small. Ning Cheng sighed. Whether it was fusing with the mysterious yellow bead or repairing the grand essence realm, he needed the breathing soil. However, this bit of breathing soil was clearly not enough. Ning Qing decided to use this piece of breathing soil to fuse with the mysterious yellow bead and produce the 5 elements spirit water first. The main reason was that he hadn't collected all 5 earths yet. It would be a waste to keep the breathing soil. Secondly, once he fused with the mysterious yellow bead and obtained the 5 elements spirit water, he would be able to refine the good fortune spirit spear. As long as he could refine the good fortune spirit spear, his strength would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Once his strength improved by leaps and bounds, he could go to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond to look for the breathing soil. Not only would his chances increase, but his own safety would also be guaranteed. Brother Ning, I'm afraid that Shu Rui won't make it. I'll take her back to the Heavenly Union Star and then follow Brother Ning to look for the breathing soil for Brother Ning. Yi Sa stepped on Di Wuxuan and spoke with a sad voice. Ning Qing put away Di Wuxuan's 5 elements thunder umbrella and smiled. Sister-in-law can still be saved. You should deal with Di Wuxuan first. What? Shu Rui can still be saved. Yi Sa trembled with excitement. Without thinking about it, he directly burned Di Wuxuan to ashes. He grabbed Di Wuxuan's ring and brought it to Ning Qing before bowing and pleading, Brother Ning, please save her. Originally, he wanted to take Di Wuxuan back and slowly torture him. But when he heard that Shu Rui could still be saved, he didn't have the leisure to torture Di Wuxuan. Saving his Dao companion was the most important thing right now. With Ning Cheng's strength, he didn't doubt Ning Cheng's words at all. Ning Qing didn't take the ring that Yi Sa handed to him. You can put away this ring. I guess that you can't take this pagoda away even if I give it to you. So, I'll take it with me. Yi Sa didn't refuse. He knew that there was no need to refuse a ring from a powerhouse like Ning Qing. Moreover, Ning Qing gave him this ring for another reason. Shu Rui's things were stored in the ring. Seeing Yi Sa put away the ring, Ning Qing took out a jade bottle and handed it to Yi Sa. This is a drop of essence of the universe. It can save sister-in-law. Essence of the universe? Yi Sa looked at Ning Qing in shock. Did you climb to the 18th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda? Ning Qing smiled and stuffed the jade bottle into Yi Sa's hands. Yes, I did climb to the 18th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. However, I didn't get much of this essence. Yi Sa grabbed the jade bottle with excitement and bowed to Ning Qing again. Brother Ning, I swear on my Dao that I will not reveal this matter. If Brother Ning asks for anything in the future, Yi Sa will never refuse. Ning Qing waved his hand. It's nothing. Brother Yi, hurry up and save her. Both Ning Qing and Yi Sa knew how precious the essence of the universe was. Therefore, Ning Qing felt that Yi Sa's attitude was worth it. Regardless of whether he needed Yi Sa's help or not, Yi Sa's gratitude suited his temperament. What he hated the most were those who didn't repay kindness or those who repaid kindness with enmity. As for the leak of the essence of the universe, Ning Qing knew that if the breath soil really appeared, the essence of the universe would definitely leak out. In order to exchange for the breath soil, he didn't hesitate to use the essence of the universe. Yi Sa dropped a drop of essence of the universe into Shu Rui's mouth. Shu Rui's vitality recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, her body and essence spirit instantly condensed. Yi Sa watched from the side with tears in his eyes. This was what he wanted to see even in his dreams. Ning Qing also marveled at the power of the essence of the universe. Just a drop of it could restore a person who had lost her essence blood and even her soul. The only thing that hadn't fully recovered was her cultivation. With Yi Sa's wealth, it was only a matter of time before Shu Rui recovered her cultivation. Brother Sa, did we all die? Shu Yu opened her eyes. When she saw Yi Sa in front of her, her eyes suddenly turned red. She was a primordial essence holy emperor. Even before she finished her sentence, Ning Qing knew that she hadn't died. Yi Sa quickly said, we're all fine. Brother Ning saved us. Esau explained in the most concise way that Ning Cheng had helped them. Shu Rui quickly stood up and walked to Ning Cheng with a bow to thank him. Ning Cheng smiled and said, "Brother Yi, you and sister-in-law should leave the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda first. I want to take this pagoda away." Something like the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda couldn't be taken away without refining it. However, Ning Cheng had a way. His mysterious yellow bead had a much higher grade than the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Even if he hadn't refined the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda, he could still take it away. Among the 3 people outside the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda, Deacon Li was the most nervous. The old man was the most relaxed. Don't look at him calling Ning Cheng Senior. He wouldn't feel sad even if Ning Cheng died. Seeing Li Kuanghe's nervousness, the old man patted Li Kuanghe's arm and said, "I have faith in Senior Ning's strength. Nothing will happen to him. You don't have to worry." The old man comforted Li Kuanghe with his mouth. But in his heart, he felt annoyed that he was too short and couldn't reach Li Kuanghe's shoulder. Suddenly, he felt shocked by the scene in front of him. He couldn't even continue speaking. The 9 Dao charms disappeared again. No, they turned into Dao charms and surrounded the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Zhang Tai-yi also saw this change and spoke up in surprise. The old fogey reacted and clapped his hands. "I knew that Senior Ning would be fine. In this case, that Di Wuxuan must have been killed." Li Kuanghe was just about to ask when he saw 2 figures rushing out of the pagoda. "City Master, Junior Apprentice Sister Shu Rui, are you alright?" Li Kuanghe came forward in surprise. Esau patted Li Kuanghe's shoulder excitedly and said, "Thank you for all these years, Kuanghe. Brother Ning's spirit power is boundless and saved me and sister-in-law." Shu Rui's face turned red with excitement. She found that she hadn't just been saved. She originally had an terminated meridian body. But after taking the true essence of the universe, meridians started to appear in her body. Because of her terminated meridian body, even if she had first-class qualifications, she could only advance to the pseudo-primordial chaos realm with endless treasures. Now that meridians appeared in her body, it meant that her future achievements would be immeasurable. "Shu Rui, what's wrong with you?" Esau immediately noticed Shu Rui's abnormality. Shu Rui was just about to speak when a roar suddenly arrived. Everyone looked at the position of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda in shock. The 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda, which stood in place, suddenly started to shake. The roar came from the Dao charms caused by the shaking of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. "What's going on?" Zhang Tai-yi had just said those words when she saw the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda suddenly rise into the air and disappear without a trace. At the place where the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagodas originally stood, Ning Cheng took a step into the void. Chapter 1197. Let's go. I've put away the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. No one will use this pagoda to harm people in the future. Ning Cheng laughed before landing on the ground. The old fogey knew about Ning Cheng's origin. Although he was surprised, he could accept it. Esau and Ning Cheng entered the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda together. Thinking about Ning Cheng casually climbing to the 9th floor of the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda and the scene of Ning Cheng grabbing Dao Integration Holy Emperor Di Wuxuan's neck, he felt that it was completely normal for Ning Cheng to put away the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda. Even Great Emperor Ping Ding, an ancient Great Emperor, had to call him senior. It would be strange if he was simple. However, Zhang Tai-yi and Li Kuanghe were stunned. If the 9 Dao Space Suppression Pagoda could be put away without refining it, then Di Wuxuan would have to be a fool to stay here and refine it. Zhang Tai-yi made up her mind to build a good relationship with Ning Cheng and then join forces with him to go to the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda. "Congratulations, Brother Ning." Zhang Tai-yi was the most shocked and the first to react. She came to congratulate Ning Cheng. After Zhang Tai-yi congratulated him, the others came to congratulate Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng smiled, "Let's go back to the Heavenly Alliance Star City first. I still have some things to deal with." Ning Cheng naturally had to perfect the mysterious yellow bead, obtain the 5 elements spirit water, and then refine the spirit transforming spear. Brother Ning is the most powerful primordial essence Holy Emperor I've ever seen. I believe that with Brother Ning's means, we can definitely reap greater benefits in the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda if we join forces. Zhan Taiyi walked to Ning Cheng's side with a smile and spoke with a gentle tone. At this moment, she remembered the man who took her to the top of the tidal pagoda. Perhaps only he could compare with Ning Cheng. As for the other geniuses she knew, they were nothing in front of Ning Cheng. Hearing Zhan Taiyi's words, Yi Sa looked at her in surprise, but he quickly retracted his gaze and pretended not to know anything. He knew very well that Ning Cheng would never go to the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda with Zhan Taiyi again. Ning Cheng had already reached the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, so what was the point of going in? Was it for someone else? Sure enough, Ning Cheng showed a smile. Many thanks for Dao friend Tantai's appreciation, but I don't plan to enter the Heavenly Union's Tao Pagoda for the time being. I'll be using Brother Yi's Heavenly Alliance planet to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time. Yi Sa quickly replied. From now on, the Heavenly Union star will belong to Brother Ning. If Brother Ning wants to do anything in the Heavenly Union star, Yi Sa will do my best to help. The best place for seclusion in my Heavenly Union star is the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. If Brother Ning wants to go into seclusion, then go to this place. Zhan Taiyi was slightly startled. She thought that Ning Cheng would enter the Heavenly Alliance's Dao Pagoda for the second time soon. She did not expect that Ning Cheng would not have such an idea at all. He made her, who rarely miscalculated, taste the taste of failure. She quickly reacted and quickly said with a smile, then I'll wish Brother Ning a higher level in advance. I'll still live in the Heavenly Union star and take some time to visit the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. In the future, after Brother Ning comes out of seclusion, you can always come to my residence as a guest. After saying that, Zhan Taiyi took the initiative to take out her communication pearl and wanted to exchange auras with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng always felt that Zhan Taiyi was too utilitarian and didn't want to associate with such a woman. It's just that this woman had always been friendly and valued him a lot. Now that she even took out her communication pearl, he couldn't pretend that he didn't know about it. He also took out his communication pearl and exchanged auras with Zhan Taiyi. The old fart swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He suddenly wondered if he should really treat Ning Cheng as his boss. With his strength, as long as he didn't meet a powerhouse like Go Wansheng, he could protect himself in the void and slowly recover his strength. But it would still be a bit scary. If he followed his boss Ning Cheng, he wouldn't have to worry about his safety at all. Since Ning Cheng chose to stay in seclusion in the Heavenly Union star, why couldn't he stay by Ning Cheng's side and continue to be a little brother? Thinking of this, the old fart was about to speak when Ning Cheng patted his shoulder hard again. Old fart, I have something to ask you. But because I've been busy, I didn't have the time. So now is the right time to ask you. Senior, if you have any questions, this junior will do his best to answer them. The old fart patted his chest and showed his loyalty. Ning Cheng didn't care about the old fart's loyalty. He knew that this old fart, who had lived for countless years, wasn't as easy to talk to as he seemed. Old fart, do you know about the 10 major spirit techniques? Ning Cheng asked casually. What he really wanted to ask was not about the 10 major spirit techniques, but whether the old fart cultivated a karmic cultivation method. The old fart always talked about karma. Moreover, when he first met the old fart, it was in an illusory karma house. Because of this, Ning Cheng wanted to ask about this matter. He didn't plan to cultivate a karmic cultivation method. But now that he advanced to the Dao fusion realm, he planned to cultivate a karmic spirit technique. Yi Sa and the others didn't expect Ning Cheng to ask this question. Although they all knew a little about it, they didn't speak. The old fart was the one who had lived the longest here, so it was most appropriate for him to answer this question. The old fart froze for a moment, then sighed and said, Senior, I know what you want to ask. You want to ask about the 10 major spirit techniques circulated in the 5 grand realms. I do know about them. Ning Qing felt a little puzzled. Old fart, are there different versions of the 10 major spirit techniques? The old fart explained, there are indeed different versions, but it doesn't matter. There are only 10 types of 10 major spirit techniques that have been passed down. The first is the good fortune spirit technique, the second is the fate spirit technique, the third is the formless spirit technique, the fourth is the karmic spirit technique, and the fifth is the strength spirit technique. Wait. Ning Qing stopped the old fart's words. You said that the fifth-ranked spirit technique is the strength spirit technique? Pure power. The old fart nodded cautiously. Yes, it is indeed the strength spirit technique. You can't understand it because your power has not reached the extreme. As long as your power reaches the extreme, you will find that many terrifying spirit techniques are nothing but floating clouds in front of you. Ning Qing didn't refute it this time. In fact, he somewhat agreed with the old fart's words. Perhaps this was the meaning of the phrase, one force can overcome 10. Just like before he came from Earth, the current strength comparison on Earth was based on power. Whoever's firepower was more powerful. Seeing that Ning Qing didn't continue to ask, the old fart followed up. The sixth is the samsara spirit technique, the seventh is the spirit pattern spirit technique, the eighth is the spirit light spirit technique, the ninth is the 5 elements spirit technique, and the 10th is the yin-yang spirit technique. Nowadays, most people know that the real spirit techniques are not these, and no one thinks that such a ranking is inappropriate. Ning Qing had already forgotten that he originally wanted to ask the old fart if he cultivated a karma cultivation method. Instead, he asked, Old fart, do you mean to say that the 10 major spirit techniques are not these? The old fart smiled. Of course, there are still a few decent ones among these 10 major spirit techniques. But what are the rest of them? Bah! I haven't asked for your advice. Ning Qing cupped his fists, with a cautious expression on his face. The old fart, on seeing Ning Qing attach so much importance to him, even felt a little startled. He quickly waved his hand and said, if senior wants to ask, then this junior will naturally try his best to answer. Ning Qing really didn't think much of this old fart who was good at using people. However, the old fart's insight made him look at him in a different light. What was the most precious thing on earth? Talent was the most precious. What was a talent? Naturally, it was a talent who understood a certain aspect. Although the old fart's character was not good, he was still a talent. Seeing Ning Qing being so polite, the old fart replied with even more seriousness, the 10 major spirit techniques are fabricated. I don't know if the 10 major spirit techniques exist or not. But as far as I know, the most powerful spirit techniques in ancient times were not these, but the 8 major cultivation methods. Each of these 8 great cultivation methods will give rise to a peerless great divine ability. Even Esau and the others paid attention to what the old fart had to say. Feeling that he was being taken seriously, the old fart spoke up in a sonorous tone. The first spirit technique is the good fortune spirit technique. The second spirit technique is also not wrong, it's the fate spirit technique. The third spirit technique is not the formless spirit technique, but the karma spirit technique. The fourth spirit technique is the reincarnation spirit technique, and the fifth spirit technique is the strength spirit technique. The sixth spirit technique is the formless spirit technique, the seventh spirit technique is the law spirit technique, and the eighth spirit technique is the stars spirit technique. In order to cultivate these 8 great divine abilities, one must first cultivate these 8 great cultivation methods. For example, if you want to learn the fate spirit technique, you must have a fate cultivation method. Ning Qing froze for a moment and asked subconsciously, what about the absolute beginning God rune, absolute beginning God light, grand essence spirit thunder, and the other spirit techniques? The old fart showed a hint of disdain at the corner of his mouth. God rune, spirit light, and spirit thunder, all of these spirit techniques evolved from the 6th spirit technique, the formless spirit technique. For example, the fate spirit technique, blessing spirit technique, disaster spirit technique, and so on are all branches of the 2nd spirit technique, the fate spirit technique. However, these spirit techniques have been passed down for a long time and are very powerful. No one would find it wrong to say that they are one of the current top 10 spirit techniques. Ning Qing froze for a moment. Only now did he realize that among the top 10 spirit techniques, the Absolute Beginning God Rune, the Absolute Beginning God Light, the Grand Essence Spirit Thunder, the Tai Chi Yin and Yang, and the Tai Yi Spirit Technique were the formless spirit techniques. In other words, the Icebound Space and the Law-Breaking Spirit Techniques he created were just branches of the top 8 spirit techniques. Do you cultivate a karma cultivation method? Ning Qing looked at the old fart and asked. The old fart said with a bitter smile, if I had such a great opportunity, why would I fear go wancheng? What I cultivate is a branch of the karma cultivation method, called the minor formless cultivation method. Ning Qing didn't expect that the old fart's cultivation method would have a similar name to his cultivation method. He cultivated the mysterious yellow formless, while the old fart cultivated the minor formless. That's just some idle chatter. Many of the 8 great divine abilities have disappeared. What remains now are just some branches. Of course, these branch spirit techniques are also very powerful. The old fart quickly added on seeing Ning Cheng's thoughtful expression. Ning Cheng also smiled, that's true. Let's return to the Heavenly Union planet first. Now that they didn't even have a third-step powerhouse, it was normal for the 8 ancient cultivation methods and spirit techniques to disappear. Chapter 1198. After returning to the Heavenly Union planet, Zhan Tai-yi had no reason to stay. She could only invite Ning Qing again before leaving. However, the old fogey found an excuse to stay in the city master's mansion. He felt that since Go Wancheng had just left, it would be safer for him to stay by Ning Cheng's side. Moreover, after a period of observation, he felt that this senior Ning Qing really did not care about his heaven and earth cauldron. Ning Qing didn't care whether the old fogey left or not. At this moment, he was in secluded cultivation at the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, the place with the densest spiritual qi in the Heavenly Union Star God realm. This place was originally Yi Sa's cultivation place, but now that Ning Qing chose to stay here in seclusion, he did not hesitate to give it to Ning Qing. Aside from that, there were also 10,000 barrels of Heavenly Alliance Stardew. There were not many Heavenly Alliance Astral Dew. However, due to its high price, few sold. Yi Sa, except for a very small number of them, simply gave all of them to Ning Qing. Ning Qing liked the Heaven Alliance's Star Dew very much, so he did not refuse Yi Sa's gift to him. In any case, on the surface, there was basically no major change in the Heavenly Alliance Star City, apart from the fact that someone had set foot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda and someone had destroyed the Heavenly Alliance Star Restaurant. The Heavenly Union planet was a huge void city, and the Heavenly Union Mountain was the safest place in the entire Heavenly Union planet with the densest divine spirit qi. If Ning Qing went into seclusion in this place, then even if he did not arrange any array formations, he would still be absolutely safe. Nevertheless, Ning Qing still arranged layers of restrictions outside the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. The mysterious yellow bead was not a trivial matter, as such he wanted to perfect the mysterious yellow bead. Yi Sa wouldn't have any problems, but in case something big happened while he was perfecting the mysterious yellow bead's world, it would definitely not be a good thing. Therefore, it was necessary to take some precautions. Within the mysterious yellow bead, Ning Qing had already let the void explosive golden wasps and chasing bull enter the true spirit world. Just in case, he sent the true spirit world outside the mysterious yellow bead. Chasing bull, on the other hand, was quite lazy. Even with so many super cultivation resources, it could only reach Starry Sky Grade 9. As for Dao sculpting comprehension, it still fell far short. On the other hand, the Void Explosive Golden Wasp King was more diligent and had already reached Starry Sky Grade 8, which was equivalent to the Life and Death realm. The few exploding golden wasps around the exploding Golden Wasp King also had strength hovering around Class 6. Only when the exploding golden wasps gathered in a swarm would they pose a formidable threat. Currently, the exploding golden wasps were not in a swarm, so Ning Qing did not expect them to play much of a role. After sending off Chasing Bull and the exploding golden wasps, Ning Qing started to arrange array formations again. In addition to protecting the inheritance sapling under the tree, he also protected his divine herb garden with layers of protection. After doing all these, Ning Qing took out the breath soil. The fist-sized piece of breath soil felt as heavy as a planet, and even Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate it. From the looks of it, even if Di Wuxuan used the breath soil to refine the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda, the breath soil would not disappear. Moreover, Ning Cheng also had releasing soil and gung soil. These two types of soil, be it in terms of weight or aura of laws, were far from being comparable to the living soil. Even after looking at it for a long time, Ning Cheng still could not see anything. He placed the growing soil on the ground and raised his hand to take out the half of the wood origin bead that was sealed by a restriction. Ning Cheng opened the restriction, and a powerful force from the mysterious yellow bead swept away the half-wood origin bead. A blue-colored explosion erupted in the air. Immediately Ning Cheng felt the mysterious yellow bead violently shake. An ear-piercing roar erupted from the mysterious yellow bead, as if the mysterious yellow bead was about to explode in the next moment. The sea and mountains formed by the mysterious yellow bead also seemed to shake and slowly disappeared from Ning Cheng's line of sight. Instead, it was replaced by a chaotic blur, followed by the endless chaotic power of the Tao charm laws. The crazy power of the laws of heaven and earth continued to emerge, causing Ning Cheng to feel horrified. He had already perfected the mysterious yellow beads several times. Every time he obtained the origin bead, he would complete it once. But it had never caused such a huge commotion, and this was just the beginning. Before Ning Cheng could figure out what was going on, a terrifying suction force swept over, and Ning Cheng felt the Tao charm aura and all the power around him getting sucked away. Even he himself would be bound and unable to move. Ning Cheng felt horrified. If it were an ordinary perfected mysterious yellow bead, he wouldn't have felt bound. In any case, the mysterious yellow bead was his thing, and his life wouldn't be in danger. But now he had to collect the 5 elements spirit water. Once the breath soil and the mysterious yellow beads world merged, and he could not move, the 5 elements spirit water would disappear from the primal chaos world. Ning Cheng had just thought of this, when he saw the breath soil on the ground suddenly float up, and then explode in the air. The Tao charm law aura from the mysterious yellow bead and the Tao charm law aura from the breath soil fused together and sounded like the sounds of nature. Dozens of rainbow-colored dewdrops floated down from the sky, extremely beautiful. This was definitely 5-element divine water. He had not expected there to be so little of it. Seeing the mysterious yellow bead's Tao charm getting stronger and stronger, Ning Cheng couldn't care less about the damage to his body and raised his hand to cast a law-breaking spirit technique. At this moment, the effects of the law-breaking spirit technique were extremely weak, and it only allowed Ning Cheng to move. Ning Cheng brought out the measureless gourd and raised his hand to collect the 12 drops of 5-element spirit water that had yet to fall to the ground. Putting away the 5-element spirit water, Ning Cheng didn't have the time to put away the measureless gourd. This time, the law power not only began to crazily absorb the Tao charm aura around Ning Cheng, but it also quickly swept away part of Ning Cheng's essence blood. With a click, no matter how strong Ning Cheng's body was, he couldn't withstand such a terrifying pressure. Yi Sa had been in a good mood recently, not only because his Tao companion Shu Rui had been rescued, but also because Shu Rui's terminated meridian body had disappeared due to the quintessential essence of the universe's restoration. Shu Rui's cultivation had indeed plummeted, but Yi Sa didn't care. As long as he was still on the Heavenly Union planet, even if Shu Rui didn't have any cultivation, with Shu Rui's perception, he was confident that he could help Shu Rui reach primordial chaos again. Another reason was that he got to know a powerhouse like Ning Cheng. Since taking charge of the Heavenly Union planet, he had seen too many powerhouses. This was the first time he had met a powerhouse like Ning Cheng. Moreover, Ning Cheng's temperament wasn't that kind of person. He was the kind of friend that Yi Sa wanted to make. Big Brother Sa, did Ning Cheng hide his cultivation? Otherwise, how could he be so powerful? At this time, only Yi Sa, Shu Rui, and Li Kuanghe were sitting in the Heavenly Union Star City's City Lord Mansion. The one asking the question was Shu Rui, whose blood and qi were growing more vigorous. With Shu Rui's current state, she could enter seclusion to restore her cultivation in half a month. Yi Sa smiled when he heard Shu Rui's words. I'm sure he didn't hide his cultivation. Moreover, he hasn't crossed the first heaven's blight. Otherwise, he would have become even stronger. If I'm not wrong, his cultivation method should be one of the 8 great cultivation methods mentioned by Great Emperor Pingding. Li Kuanghe nodded. He agreed with Yi Sa's words. Otherwise, Ning Cheng wouldn't have put away a treasure like the 9 Dao space suppression pagoda so easily. At this moment, a dazzling yellow light shot into the sky. The spirit chi and Dao charm aura crazily swept through the entire void. Yi Sa and the other 2 instantly caught sight of it. Yi Sa's expression changed, and he immediately rushed out of the city lord mansion. It's brother Ning's seclusion place. Li Kuanghe's expression also changed drastically. He had wanted to say that Ning Cheng might have a top-grade treasure, but at this time, such a phenomenon appeared in Ning Cheng's seclusion place. Even without Li Kuanghe's words, the few of them could see it clearly. In the depths of the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, a terrifying yellow light shot into the sky. Endless heaven and earth laws and Dao charm aura, as well as the aura of gods, crazily rushed over from the endless void. Then, like a whirlpool, they all sucked into the yellow light. Not good. Yi Sa's face suddenly turned pale. It was imaginable that such a terrifying aura would definitely attract the experts in the surrounding void. No matter how strong Yi Sa was, he couldn't help Ning Cheng block the impact of so many experts. Li Kuanghe's expression also changed. What Yi Sa thought, he obviously also thought of. Just as Yi Sa expected, countless people in the Heavenly Union Star City flocked to the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. As for the endless void outside the Heavenly Union Star, many experts also felt this scene and rushed over. Everyone, stop. This is the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, where I cultivate in seclusion. Yi Sa immediately blocked the Heavenly Union Star Mountain's mountain protecting array. Yi Sa had perfected Dao integration strength. Coupled with Shu Rui's return, his Dao heart had become more mellow. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was at the half-step creation realm. The Dao charm nomological power around him swept out and immediately suppressed the many experts. City Lord Yi, we just want to go over and see what's going on with that yellow light. Besides, City Lord Yi isn't in seclusion right now, a late-stage primordial chaos expert called out from the crowd. Yes, we just want to see what's going on with that yellow light. More people in the crowd echoed. Ning Cheng had perfected the mysterious yellow bead, so the yellow light didn't have any mysterious yellow origin aura. Otherwise, even with Yi Sa blocking in front, everyone wouldn't have been able to resist the greed in their hearts and rushed into the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. Yi Sa frowned and was about to speak. Suddenly, he heard a chuckle. The Heavenly Union Star Mountain is a private seclusion place. Who told you that you can go in whenever you want? City Lord Yi isn't in seclusion, but can't other people enter seclusion here? The one who spoke was the old man. He wanted Ning Cheng's protection, so he naturally wouldn't fall behind. He was sure that the yellow light was caused by Ning Cheng's seclusion. Given Ning Cheng's strength, who would he be afraid of? Since Ning Cheng wasn't afraid of anyone, he naturally had to come out and show his loyalty. If Yi Sa had said this, perhaps no one would have refuted it. However, the old man's superficial strength was too much. He had just reached Dao validation and seemed to have yet to stabilize. Almost at the same time as the old man finished speaking, a man at the early stage primordial chaos snorted. Would seclusion cause such a big commotion? A rare treasure must have appeared. Chi! Chi! 2 black flashes that cut through the void were thrown out by the old man and directly swept towards the early-stage primordial chaos expert. The early-stage primordial chaos man was shocked. He didn't have time to take out his Dharma treasure. His entire body transformed into a twisting ribbon, trying to escape from the space created by the 2 black flashes. Too late. The old man's voice reached his ears. Then, the early-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor saw a huge cauldron shadow land on top of his head. Chapter 1199. Another ray of light swept over. This ray of light forcibly blocked the cauldron image of the old man's cosmos cauldron. The old man's expression turned ugly. City Lord Yi, why are you blocking me? Why can't I kill this kind of trash who wants to attack other people's cave abodes? Esau looked calm, but he despised the old man in his heart. He did not believe that the old man did not know that these people could not be killed now. There were so many people here. Once he killed one, it would incur public anger, and he would not be able to stop it. There's no hurry to kill them. These people are guests of the Heavenly Union planet. After all, they have not attacked the Heavenly Union planet yet, Esau said faintly. The old man's expression changed very quickly. He immediately chuckled and stopped talking. In fact, he did not care about public anger. If he wanted to kill, he would kill until blood flowed like a river. He, the great Emperor Ping Ding, had not killed so happily in a long time. Moreover, there was a senior behind him. What was there for him to be afraid of? Unfortunately, Esau was too timid and did not dare to provoke a group battle. This made him lose a lot of fun. The early-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor who had been saved quickly retreated in fear. He did not dare to say anything. He had dared to ask this because he knew that Esau would not dare to do anything. Who knew that someone would really dare to do so? The yellow flare is slowly disappearing. Someone in the crowd saw the soaring yellow flare gradually disappear and immediately exclaimed. The yellow flare had disappeared, but the divine spirit Qi and heaven-earth law Tao runes that swept over had not disappeared. Instead, they had become stronger. Boom! A roar came from outside the Heavenly Union planet. Esau's heart sank. What he had been most worried about had come. When the yellow flare had soared into the sky, he had been afraid that someone would come to the Heavenly Union planet to cause trouble. It had only been a while, but someone had already arrived outside the Heavenly Union planet. Kuang He, stay here and protect Brother Ning. I'll go out and take a look. Esau quickly flashed away after saying that. The vision has disappeared. As soon as Esau left, the people surrounding the Heavenly Union Star Mountain saw the whirlpool-like divine spirit Qi and the Tao rune aura that had been sucked and disappear without a trace. The Heavenly Union Star Mountain returned to its original state. The surrounding cultivators began to hesitate and wondered if they should go in and investigate. Although Esau had stopped the old man from killing the early-stage primordial chaos cultivator, many low-level cultivators were still worried. When Ningqing finally opened his eyes, he felt as if his entire body had changed. A spirit essence power that was even thicker than when he advanced to primordial chaos filled his body. He remembered that before he fainted, his bones had clearly been crushed by the terrifying aura of the rules, but now he was completely fine. The surrounding space seemed to have changed a lot, causing Ningqing to leap up. At this moment, he was truly stunned. This was the real world. Everything in front of him became clear. The blue sky might be the same as before, but there was an additional stable aura of the Tao rhyme laws. The sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the lakes, the seas, the marshes. Ningqing finally caught hold of that difference. It was the derivation of a kind of vitality. Although his Xianhuang world had been formed previously, it seemed to be in a state of relative stillness. But now, it was as if there was an additional aura of the life rules that kept growing, and he vaguely controlled all the rules of this world. Ningqing's gaze then fell onto the vast sea. He saw a huge island on the seashore, with a tree that he was very familiar with. Even if the mysterious yellow bead belonged to him, and everything inside belonged to him, he could still feel that this island was faintly discernible. Is this the mirage tree? Ningqing took in a deep breath. He did not expect that the colorful mirage tree, which had been withered in the mysterious yellow bead, would not only come to life, but also grow on this island that had suddenly risen from the sea. However, Ningqing did not feel too surprised, because he was the master here. As for these reasons, he would definitely figure them out. Ningqing decided to wait and see about the mirage tree. He reached out and grabbed the measureless gourd that had fallen not far away, while an indescribable feeling welled up in his heart. The mysterious yellow bead, at this moment, felt like a part of his life, integrated with his entire soul. As long as he willed it, the mysterious yellow bead would not reveal even the slightest bit of aura. He even had a feeling that even if he did not put away the dozen drops of 5 elements spirit water, he could still extract them from the earth of the mysterious yellow world. Ning Cheng's starry sky sea of consciousness vaguely experienced a new change at this moment. He felt that as long as he grasped onto something, his starry sky sea of consciousness would no longer continue to expand and stabilize, but would instead reach a new level. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness extended out and immediately saw the many cultivators surrounding the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. The old fogey and Deacon Li were blocking the Heavenly Union Star Mountain, not allowing anyone to come in. The atmosphere was tense, and it felt as if a war could break out at any time. Ning Cheng quickly rushed out of the mysterious yellow bead and put away the true spirit world. Seeing Ning Cheng about to throw it into the mysterious yellow bead again, Chasing Bull quickly called out, "Master's means are now unfathomable. I also want to breathe the air outside. Moreover, I feel that in the endless void, I will have more opportunities to comprehend the grand Tao." Chasing Bull was a lively fellow. But because of its low strength, Ning Cheng had let it stay in the mysterious yellow bead to look after the divine grasses. Chasing Bull was already tired of such days. Now that it knew that its master Ning Cheng's strength had greatly increased, if it missed the opportunity to come out, it didn't know when it would have to wait. Ning Cheng had a clear understanding of Chasing Bull's moral integrity. Therefore, he felt that Chasing Bull's words were not wrong. Chasing Bull had the bloodline of the wind-seeking Heavenly Bull celestial beast. Although its mysterious yellow bead had become a true top-grade world, it still lacked the various kinds of people in the void. Tao sculpting wasn't something that could be achieved behind closed doors. If Chasing Bull wanted to Tao sculpting, it had to enter the void and interact with more people and things. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng nodded, "Okay, you can follow me from now on. You don't need to enter the mysterious yellow bead anymore." With his current strength, even if others knew that Chasing Bull had the bloodline of a spirit beast, no one would dare to snatch the wind-seeking Heavenly Bull. Master is wise and mighty. Chasing Bull following Master is a stroke of luck, a stroke of opportunity, and a stroke of genius. Shut up. While Chasing Bull was still talking, Ning Cheng gave a shout. Chasing Bull closed its mouth without any care and looked at the void exploding golden wasps on the side with pride. Ning Cheng also looked at the exploding golden wasps and asked, "What about you? Do you want to stay outside or enter the mysterious yellow bead to continue cultivating?" The void exploding golden wasps suddenly sent Ning Cheng a message, "Master, I want to enter the void alone. Staying in the mysterious yellow bead's world is of no use to me. I'm the wasp queen, and I want to find my queen and more exploding golden wasps." Ning Cheng couldn't help but feel ashamed when he heard this. Because the strength of the exploding golden wasps was much lower than his, he didn't care about it. However, he never thought that the exploding golden wasps lived in groups, nor did he think that the exploding golden wasp king needed a queen. "Okay, I'll send you into the endless void. What happens in the future will depend on your own luck." Ning Cheng spoke without hesitation. Since the exploding golden wasp king had already recognized him as its master, he didn't need to bind the exploding golden wasps to himself. "Many thanks, master." The exploding golden wasp sent another message. It was far from being as good at flattering as Chasing Bull. But after hearing about it, it still felt a little affected by Chasing Bull. Apart from Chasing Bull and the exploding golden wasp king, Ning Cheng also saw the underworld crow ghost Rattan king. It's just that the underworld crow ghost Rattan king had fallen into a deep slumber after advancing to Starry Sky Grade 9. "Come on, let's go out and have a look." Ning Cheng stepped out of the restriction and landed beside Li Kuanghe and the old fogey. Seeing Ning Cheng come out, the old fogey felt overjoyed and quickly called out, "Senior, these people wanted to attack your seclusion, but I tried my best to stop them. Fortunately, Senior came out, otherwise, I wouldn't have known what to do." When Chasing Bull heard the old fogey's words, its gaze immediately fell on the old fogey. It secretly thought to itself that this fellow would be a formidable opponent in the future. Moreover, this fellow's ability to curry favor with others wasn't any weaker than its own. I just borrowed City Master Yi's place for seclusion for a few days. I don't know how I offended you, but why did you come here to attack my seclusion cave? Ning Cheng's gaze swept over the many cultivators surrounding the Heavenly Union Star Mountain and spoke with an indifferent tone. Some of the cultivators knew about Ning Cheng's origins. The matter of Ning Cheng punching Go Wanching away in the Heavenly Union Star restaurant had already spread out. I heard that he was the one who climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. Wasn't he the one who punched Go Wanching away in the Heavenly Union Star restaurant? It must be him. Otherwise, how could City Master Yi give up the Heavenly Union Star Mountain? Discussions broke out in the crowd, and some of the cultivators even wanted to retreat. Senior, we only saw a beam of yellow light shooting into the sky and endless divine spirit chi and Dao rune aura being absorbed by the yellow light. We thought it was a phenomenon, so we wanted to see the specific situation, a mid-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor said respectfully in the crowd. Many people also knew that the old fogey was Great Emperor Ping Ding. Since the old fogey addressed Ning Cheng as senior, he, a middle-stage primordial chaos holy emperor, naturally had to address Ning Cheng as senior. Ning Cheng guessed that his mysterious yellow bead must have caused a huge commotion during the improvement process, which attracted everyone. He raised his hand and blasted out a yellow beam of light. Under the operation of the mysterious yellow formless, endless spirit chi and Dao charm aura swept over. Are you talking about this? This is the aura of my cultivation. Do you have a problem with me cultivating in seclusion here? Ning Cheng's tone turned cold. Ning Cheng raised his hand and caused such a commotion. Many cultivators apologized one after another and quickly retreated. It turned out that what they saw was a commotion caused by Ning Cheng's cultivation, not the birth of a rare treasure. It seemed normal for a powerful senior like Ning Cheng to cause such a commotion while cultivating. He had punched Go Wanching away. If he got angry, he would have to bear the consequences. Originally, Chasing Bull wanted to open its mouth and say a few words when so many experts appeared here. However, it was suppressed by the powerful aura and did not dare to speak at all. Now that it saw Ning Cheng's power, which scared everyone away, it immediately rushed out proudly. A group of ants, how dare you come here and be arrogant? You've disturbed my master's seclusion. This old bull will swallow you all. Ning Cheng's face turned ugly. He saw that some people ignored Esau's dissuasion and still attacked the Heavenly Union Star's star-protecting Grand Array. Chapter 1200. Brother Ning, you're out of seclusion. Esau, who was standing next to the planet-protecting array, exclaimed in surprise when he saw Ning Cheng. There were dozens of experts outside the planet-protecting array. The strongest of them was no weaker than Esau, and there were two of them. Only 4 primordial chaos sacred emperors were attacking the array. In Ning Cheng's opinion, their cultivation level was only at the mid-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor. City Lord Yi, these 4 people are very bold. Ning Cheng pointed at the 4 people attacking the planet-protecting array. The Dao integration sacred emperors hadn't made a move yet these 4 primordial chaos sacred emperors had dared to attack the planet-protecting array. Esau said helplessly, these 4 people are very strange. Don't look at their cultivation level that hasn't reached Dao integration. However, the 4 of them aren't afraid of anyone in this void. When they fight, the 4 of them act like one person. No matter where they are, they can condense their spatial law in an instant and form a spatial array. This is their spatial innate talent, which others can't learn at all. Once you're trapped in the spatial array, even I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to escape. They were also notorious in this area. One of them was called the 4 Void Brothers, which meant brothers, not ferocious. Because they're strong, they never separate. After saying that, Esau glanced at the group of people behind the 4 and said, there are a few Dao integration experts here. These 4 people are just relying on their master's power. I'll go out and meet these guys. After saying that, Ning Cheng stepped out without waiting for Esau to open the planet-protecting array. Esau stared blankly at Ning Cheng as he appeared outside the planet-protecting array, wondering how Ning Cheng had gotten out. The planet protecting array hadn't been opened, so it wasn't easy to enter from the inside or the outside. How had Ning Qing done it? He hadn't given Ning Qing the array's control flag. The Void Domain 4 brothers noticed Ning Qing as soon as he came out of the planet protecting array. The four of them surrounded Ning Qing without thinking. The four of them fought together, regardless of whether their opponents were Tao Integration Sacred Emperors or Primordial Chaos Sacred Emperors. Sure enough, the void around Ning Qing was completely out of his control the moment the four of them surrounded him. It was as if someone had created a new rule space in the blink of an eye, and he was the person trapped in this new rule space. Sure enough, Ning Qing raised his hand and used a law-breaking spirit technique. The spatial shackles around him, which had changed the laws around him, weakened instantly, and Ning Qing punched out. The fact that the four Void brothers were able to form an independent space in such a short amount of time was indeed due to their innate spatial abilities. However, at this moment, the four of them were extremely shocked. Ever since their space condensation mystic art was formed, it had never shown signs of weakening. Even if it was used against a Tao integration expert, it would be strengthened to the extreme in an instant. Now, a mere early-stage primordial chaos cultivator had used a divine power to weaken their condensed space. This was simply outrageous. Bang! A mist of blood sprayed out, and a mid-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor standing opposite Ning Qing turned into a mist of blood. One of the four had fallen, and the binding space disappeared at the same time. The remaining three felt a chill in their hearts. What kind of terrifying divine ability was this? It could break the spatial laws they had condensed themselves. Their spatial talent was because they could condense a new spatial law, which even Tao integration experts could not ignore. Now, it had been broken by a divine power and a punch. The remaining three hurriedly retreated, but Ning Qing did not chase after them. He knew that even if he chased after them, he could not kill the three of them at the same time. Esau also opened the planet protecting array. This was not the first time he had seen Ning Qing's divine power. This divine power seemed to be able to break the heaven-earth law. Ning Qing had used it in the 9 Dao sky-suppressing pagoda. Esau was already used to Ning Qing's strength, but the many experts surrounding the Heavenly Union planet were shocked. Ning Qing, who was an early-stage primordial chaos cultivator, had broken the four Void brothers' space condensation mystic art with a punch. Moreover, he had also killed one of them with a punch. I believe that City Lord Yi will not stop you if you want to enter the Heavenly Union planet. Why did you attack the Heavenly Union planet's planet protecting array? Ning Qing's gaze swept across the group of people as he spoke in a cold tone. A Tao integration man in a yellow robe walked up. He first cupped his fists at Ning Qing and then cupped his fists at Esau before saying, "We saw the Heavenly Union planet's yellow light soaring into the sky and the Tao rune whirlpool, so we wanted to come and see what was going on." Ning Qing did not even explain and said directly to everyone, "If you want to go to the Heavenly Union planet, you can. However, if anyone dares to attack the Heavenly Union planet's defense array again, I will not hesitate to kill them." Ning Qing's words were filled with killing intent. Apart from a few Tao integration sacred emperors who frowned slightly, the rest remained silent. Ning Qing had just broken through the space-related innate techniques of the Void Four elder brothers and killed one of them with a single punch. Everyone had seen it clearly. No one would want to offend an expert like Ning Qing if it was not necessary. Esau had opened the Heavenly Union planet's planet protecting array mainly to prevent a large number of experts from indiscriminately rushing into the Heavenly Union planet and besieging the Heavenly Union planet mountain, which would affect Ning Qing's reclusive cultivation. Now that Ning Qing had come out of seclusion, he opened the planet protecting array without hesitation and said in a flat tone, "Brother Ning's words are my words. If you want to go to the Heavenly Union planet, you can. However, if you attack my Heavenly Union planet's planet protecting array, I, Esau, will definitely hunt you down. There are only 3 Void brothers left, and these 3 people will be wanted by my Heavenly Union planet." Seeing Esau really open the Heavenly Union planet's planet protecting array, everyone froze. But soon, everyone reacted and cupped their fists towards Esau before rushing into the Heavenly Union planet. Ning Qing didn't bother to explain at all. He believed that these people would quickly figure out what was going on after rushing into the Heavenly Union planet. Brother Ning, did these people disturb you when they attacked the Heavenly Union planet? Esau asked apologetically. Ning Qing smiled, no, I still have to go into seclusion for a while. After this period of seclusion ends, I plan to ask you for some advice. City Master Yi, you can go back first. My 2 companion beasts are here. I'll deal with them. Esau also saw Chasing Bull and a few exploding golden wasps coming over and guessed that they were Ning Cheng's companion beasts. After greeting Ning Cheng, he quickly rushed into the Heavenly Union planet. The experts who rushed into the Heavenly Union Star Mountains didn't know what was going on. Therefore, he couldn't let these people rush into the Heavenly Union Star Mountains. Master, my cultivation is too far away from yours. When Master unleashed his might, I still fell behind. Chasing Bull came up and spoke with a flattering tone. Ning Cheng ignored Chasing Bull and turned to the exploding golden wasp king and said, once you enter the void from here, you can only rely on yourself. In case of an emergency, you can send me a message through the Life Origin Call. The Life Origin Call was a call that consumed the essence, blood and soul of a companion beast. It could only be used to call the owner of the companion beast. However, after this call, the companion beast would fall into a state of weakness. Ning Cheng and the exploding golden wasp king had a master-servant relationship. Therefore, the exploding golden wasp king could naturally find Ning Cheng through the Life Origin Call. Yes, Master, I'm leaving. After the exploding golden wasp king sent a message to Ning Cheng, it rushed into the void with a few exploding golden wasps and quickly disappeared. Master, are we leaving too? Chasing Bull looked at the exploding golden wasps disappearing into the void with envy and asked in a weak voice. It liked lively places the most, but it was most afraid of staying in the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng waved at the old fogey in the distance, and the old fogey hurriedly ran over and called out, Senior. Ning Cheng patted Chasing Bull and said to the old fogey, this is my companion beast. I still have some things to take care of in seclusion. My companion beast likes lively places. Take it to the Heavenly Union Star City. The old fogey quickly patted his chest and said, leave it to me. When Chasing Bull heard that Ning Cheng wanted it to wander around the streets, it became even more excited and started flattering him. The previous envious thoughts of the exploding golden wasp king had long since been thrown out of the 9 heavens. So what if the exploding golden wasps were free? Didn't they still have to wander around in the void? Compared to it, it would have to go to the bustling streets to eat and drink. As Ning Cheng guessed, the many powerhouses who came to the Heavenly Union Star City quickly figured out what was going on. It turned out that the soaring yellow light was caused by a powerhouse who had climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. It wasn't a weapon at all. No one did not know what kind of place the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda was. It was normal for a powerhouse who could climb to the 12th floor to cause such a commotion. However, this was just an interlude. Esau issued an arrest warrant for the remaining 3 of the Void 4 brothers, while Ning Cheng returned to the Heavenly Union Star Mountains to go into seclusion. Although he said that he wanted to go into seclusion, only Ning Cheng knew that he wanted to refine the spirit-transforming spear. The main materials for refining the spirit-transforming spear were twilight sand, 5 elements spirit water, and heaven-opening iron essence. Now that he had all 3 materials, and the celestial river flame had also advanced to the sacred flame, it fully met the conditions for refining the spirit-transforming spear. If Ning Cheng still had any worries, it was that his artifact crafting level was too low and he couldn't refine a peerless weapon like the spirit-transforming spear. As for the 5 elements spirit water, Ning Cheng didn't care at all. Even without the 5 elements spirit water, he intended to use the heaven-opening iron essence to refine the spear. This time, Ning Cheng did not refine the spirit-transforming spear in the mysterious yellow bead, but directly refined it in the Heavenly Union Star Mountain's immortal cave. Although the mysterious yellow bead's level was high, it had just formed, and its vitality was still growing. Moreover, there was not a large number of living beings living in it. Ning Cheng feared that it would affect the spirituality of the spirit-transforming spear. Before refining the spirit-transforming spear, Ning Qing spent a lot of time arranging a spiritual gathering array and a top-grade defensive array. After everything was ready, he took out the twilight sand, heaven-opening iron essence, and 5 elements spirit water. One could say that since learning artifact crafting, Ning Qing had never refined a weapon so seriously. This time, Ning Qing chose not to use an artifact crafting furnace. The celestial river flame had advanced to the sacred flame and gained spirituality. Without an artifact crafting furnace, it could display the freedom of the flame. As soon as Ning Qing brought out the heaven-opening iron essence and sent it into the celestial river flame, the celestial river flame immediately sucked in the endless spirit chi. Even with the obstruction array formation, a huge spirit chi vortex still formed outside the Heavenly Union Star Mountains. Unlike before, no one went to the Heavenly Union Star Mountains this time. Everyone knew that the powerhouse who climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda was currently in secluded cultivation. If the first time affected the seclusion of such a powerhouse, then it could be said that no one knew about it. But if the second time affected the seclusion of such a powerhouse, then perhaps the Heavenly Union Star would turn into a river of blood. Chapter 1201. The celestial river flame slowly melted the profound sky iron mother, the twilight sand, the 5 elements divine water. Ning Qing sent a mysterious and esoteric formula into the melted materials, causing the embryo to slowly take shape. Ning Qing, at the beginning, was consciously trying to control the speed of the embryo's formation, but towards the end, he was completely immersed in the epiphany of the crafting artifacts. Whether it was the technique he sent out or the changes in the control embryo, they were all completely integrated with the surrounding space and environment. As the aura of Taoist rhymes entered and the array foundations were carved, the artifact embryo kept changing. At first, it only absorbed the Tao charm aura that Ning Qing sent into it. But now, it continuously absorbed the Tao charm laws of heaven and earth. The chaotic presence from the melting of the heaven-splitting essence was gradually covered up by the water, and the artifact embryo became more and more ordinary. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Aside from the divine spiritual chi whirlpool that was continuously sucking away the Heavenly Alliance's star mountain, there were no other movements. At this time, Ning Qing didn't make any other movements apart from forming mysterious artifact crafting methods with both hands and sending out various Tao charm. The celestial river flame and Ning Qing shared a telepathic connection, and under the complete control of Ning Qing's mind, it constantly changed the shape of the spear embryo. Another half a year flashed by, and Ning Qing's complicated hand gestures suddenly changed, changing into a storm-like speed. The long spear embryo in Ning Qing's hand also buzzed and vibrated. However, Ning Qing suddenly opened his eyes. At this moment, the hand seals he inserted into the good fortune divine spear grew even faster. Everyone in the Heavenly Union Star City discovered that even more terrifyingly dense God's spiritual energy and various laws of heaven and earth were flocking towards the Heavenly Union Star Mountain. Apart from that, streams of killing aura gathered and rushed into the divine spiritual energy whirlpool outside the Heavenly Alliance Star Mountain. Now, all the cultivators in the Heavenly Union Star City knew that the movements in the Heavenly Union Star Mountain were caused by a powerhouse's cultivation. Because of this, no one dared to approach the Heavenly Alliance's Star Mountain. It was one thing for his cultivation to cause such a huge commotion that lasted for a year, but now, he even had to absorb the killing aura. Just how powerful a cultivation technique did he have to cultivate to be able to achieve this? Many cultivators even deliberately flew into the void to observe the movements of the Heavenly Alliance's Star Mountain. In the City Lord Mansion, Sa rubbed his hair with a bitter smile. Ning Cheng's cultivation had caused too much of a commotion. Previously, he had created a sky-piercing yellow light, and now, he had created a terrifying spiritual chi whirlpool. But now, he even had to absorb the Tao runes, laws, and killing aura. Just what kind of cultivation method did he cultivate? Even the creation cultivation technique of the 8 great cultivation techniques could not compare to this, right? Just when everyone marveled at Ning Cheng's powerful cultivation method, an extremely weak and decaying aura suddenly descended. This weak aura fell towards the Heavenly Alliance's Star Mountain. Not good, brother Ning is about to cross the Deva's blight. Esau immediately noticed it and quickly rushed out of the city master's mansion. In the Heavenly Alliance's Star City, many people were stunned when they saw the weakening aura descending frantically. This was simply a little too ridiculous. No matter how powerful a cultivation technique was, it shouldn't be to the extent of causing immortal decay during cultivation. There were too many sage emperors in the Heavenly Alliance Star City who had experienced the first heaven's blight. But no one's Deva's blight was so terrifying that it could actually form a vortex and descend. Just how strong did one have to be to not completely decline? Ning Qing stood up in shock and stared at the creation divine spear suspended above his head. This spear, including the spearhead, was only 2 meters long. The body of the spear was light cyan, and the spearhead looked extremely ordinary. The only thing special about it was the Tao runes condensed in the middle of the spearhead. But what shocked Ning Cheng was that the creation divine spear he had just refined was actually crossing a tribulation. No, it wasn't crossing a tribulation, but it was crossing a decay. As the decaying aura of the Deva's blight descended, the creation divine spear started to crazily absorb it. What was going on? If he hadn't heard about the Deva's 5 decays, he wouldn't have known what was going on. Every time the Tao runes of decay seeped into the creation divine spear, the creation divine spear would grow dimmer. Although the creation divine spear's aura did not weaken, Ning Qing still frowned. The aura did not weaken, which meant that the creation divine spear's grade did not decrease. But this grade made Ning Qing feel that something was wrong. After a few days, the creation divine spear's absorption of the decaying aura finally stopped. An ordinary long spear fell into Ning Cheng's hand, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately penetrated into the long spear. In just a few breaths, Ning Cheng's expression turned ugly. The creation divine spear in his hand was just a low-rank spirit artifact, or rather, barely a low-rank spirit artifact. He had spent a lot of energy, used so many treasures, and even delayed the completion of the mysterious yellow bead. Yet, what he refined was just a low-rank spirit artifact. At this moment, Ning Qing felt that there was nothing more ridiculous than this in the world. According to his original thoughts, even if the creation divine spear could not surpass the top-grade spirit artifact, it should at least be a top-grade spirit artifact. But now, not to mention the creation divine spear being a top-grade spirit artifact, if it was just a little bit weaker, it might not even be a low-rank spirit artifact. Moreover, the creation divine spear's absorption of the decaying aura had not affected the creation divine spear's grade. Otherwise, the creation divine spear would have truly fallen to a low-rank weapon. Ning Qing shook his head. It seems that he would have to rely on the void cold light spear in the future. He grabbed the creation divine spear and was about to throw it into the mysterious yellow bead when he sensed a faint fluctuation. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately penetrated into the long spear, and he was shocked to find that the creation divine spear was absorbing the laws and killing power of heaven and earth. Was this a treasure that could evolve on its own? Otherwise, why would it absorb the killing power and laws after it formed a weapon? After a few breaths, Ning Qing confirmed that his guess was correct. The creation divine spear was indeed a treasure that could evolve on its own. The creation divine spear was not only absorbing the laws of heaven and earth, but also the various killing power and aura. It was also slowly absorbing the spirit qi. Ning Qing felt overjoyed. No wonder it could cross the decaying aura, it turned out to be like this. From the looks of it, he could not use the creation divine spear for now. As long as he put the creation divine spear into the mysterious yellow bead, he could then take it out and use it after it evolved to a higher level. Ning Qing put the creation divine spear into the mysterious yellow bead and felt very satisfied. Although the creation divine spear did not reach the level he expected, it was much more pleasing than he expected. But in just a few breaths, Ning Qing once again took out the creation divine spear. He felt even more puzzled to find that after the creation divine spear entered the mysterious yellow bead, it really became like an ordinary weapon and could no longer absorb the laws and killing power. What was going on? Ning Qing grabbed the creation divine spear and once again let his spiritual consciousness seep into it. Sure enough, outside the mysterious yellow bead, the creation divine spear could absorb all kinds of laws and killing power. Moreover, there was an extremely decaying aura lingering around the creation divine spear. Ning Qing knew that this decaying aura was formed when the creation divine spear crossed the decaying aura. The creation divine spear could not grow on its own inside the mysterious yellow bead, which made Ning Qing feel very depressed. He took out a ring and put the creation divine spear into it. This time, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness followed the creation divine spear. After a while, Ning Qing found that the creation divine spear could absorb the laws and killing power inside the ring. It was just that the speed was more than 100 times slower than the outside world. Moreover, the aura became even thinner after passing through the ring's restrictions. He refined a long spear, but he could not put it into the ring. Ning Cheng's expression turned even more depressed. He had already guessed a few things. He had perfected the mysterious yellow bead, and life force had just begun to emerge. It was impossible for it to have the endless aura outside. Although it had killing power, it didn't have the kind of bloody killing power. As for the various human auras, the mysterious yellow bead was even more blank. Ning Qing went into seclusion to refine artifacts for a year, while Yi Sa worried about Ning Qing for a year. He was afraid that some blind guy would rush into the Heavenly Union Star Mountain without asking anything and cause Ning Cheng's Dao charm fluctuations. Fortunately, after a year, the place where Ning Qing went into seclusion finally quieted down. The vortex of killing power that had been crazily absorbing the laws disappeared completely. But before Yi Sa could breathe a sigh of relief, something even more worrying happened. Ning Qing actually began to cross the decaying aura at this time. With Ning Cheng's cultivation, he would most likely cross the first Deva's blight, the primordial blight. He knew Ning Cheng's strength very well. One of the main reasons why so many people did not dare to enter the Heavenly Union Star was because of Ning Cheng's reputation. Ning Cheng had long been famous in the Heavenly Union Star. He was a powerhouse who had climbed to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. His cultivation had also created a vortex of movement, which made people feel flustered. Now that Ning Cheng had started to cross the decaying aura, who knew if someone would take the opportunity to attack Ning Cheng? Yi Sa worried for a few days and was thinking about what to do when the aura of Deva's blight that Ning Cheng had absorbed disappeared. Before he could look for Ning Cheng landed outside the city master's mansion. "Brother Ning, you." Yi Sa ran out and looked at Ning Cheng standing outside the city master's mansion. What puzzled him was the long spear Ning Cheng was carrying on his back. Yi Sa had seen Ning Cheng's long spear artifact before. It was the void cold light spear with a slightly damaged spearhead. But the long spear Ning Cheng was carrying now was definitely not the void cold light spear, but an ordinary long spear. In his eyes, this long spear was at most a low-rank spirit artifact. Ning Cheng also felt very embarrassed. Not only did he carry a long spear, but he also carried an unremarkable low-rank spirit artifact on his back. In order to upgrade his long spear to a top-rank spirit artifact as soon as possible, Ning Cheng didn't want to put the long spear into the mysterious yellow bead. Moreover, Ning Cheng vaguely felt that his long spear had absorbed the laws and killing power of heaven and earth to upgrade to a top-rank spirit artifact, which meant that it was much stronger than a top-rank spirit artifact refined by him. "I just refined it. It's the best weapon I've ever refined. It has a commemorative meaning, so I carried it on my back." Ning Cheng smiled and found an excuse to explain. Yi Sa felt relieved. Not everyone could refine spirit artifacts. Since Ning Cheng could refine a spirit artifact, it showed that Ning Cheng's artifact crafting level was quite good. "Brother Ning, please come in." Yi Sa didn't continue to ask about the good fortune divine spear. What he wanted to know most was what that powerful decaying aura was when Ning Cheng went into seclusion. Before seeing Ning Cheng, he thought that Ning Cheng was crossing the decaying aura. Now that he saw Ning Cheng, he felt sure that Ning Cheng wasn't crossing the decaying aura.